for the final 3 hours here at Le Mans. Here we've got Yuri Kasdorp in the lead car once again. He's taken over that particular car. Adam Taylor in second position in car number 1, finding his way through a bit of traffic then. Borja Milan, third position. Car number 17. Nino Pinto, familiar names for those that were driving at the beginning of the race, are now taking their respective cars back over for the final 3. Stephen Bailey doing what he can, pressing on Jimmy Broadbent. We heard from him earlier, the huge character that he is in that 22 Nissan, pressing on Dowie Tapper. Had a huge incident in that car a couple of hours ago in car 14, saw them towards the back of the field in the LMP1s. Anything can happen though, and there's still plenty of time for things to happen though. Frederick Schroeder bringing in the lead LMP2 into the pits then. Car number 30. We'll see what he does from that point on. Dennis Jordan just coming back onto the Henadier. Shane Burke in his car, chasing down, that is and struggle with that one, Svartenball along the back straight there is Nicholas Hilbrand. My brain keeps adding a D to make it Hildebrand, but it's not, it's Hilbrand. He comes into the Porsche curves.
I have that same problem with them because of the IndyCar driver, JR Hildebrand.
I think that's what it is, yeah.
Yeah, I keep wanting to add the D in the middle there, but I know it's not been there. I know I've been commentating on him for about 1.5 seasons. I know it's Hildebrand, but my mind keeps on just...
It's adding it, yeah. I'm glad it's not just me. But so on he goes then in fourth position in the LMP2s, Frederica. I keep saying Suave, but I'm not 100% sure that's correct. Well, wrong with that one. There is Conan Blamey as well. He took over that car this morning and continues to press on. Current Parkin really has broken away. He was challenging. He was under pressure for that position, 14th overall. When he took over the car, has really broken away from, as earlier mentioned, Baz Svartenball. He continues on in car number 14. Sam McDonald at the back of the LMP2s does what he can and continues on his way then. There's Goran Jardovic leads the GTEs. Now, it wasn't a Ferrari when I left it an hour ago, so there's a bit of change in the GTE pecking order. There is the Corvette that was previously leading the way, now in the hands of Casper Stoltz. David Yunt still pilots the one and only Aston. He growls around through the Dunlop curves, through the S's. Third in class for the GTs. Daniel Almeida presses on in the Corvette. Matt Strand in the Ferrari. We saw him fending off Nikolai at the tail of the GT field. That second Ferrari now being piloted by Sido Vajra. And that is the remaining 22 cars. So what have I missed then?
Those remaining 22 cars, you've not missed that much. There hasn't been anything incredible happen in the last hour while you weren't here. Yuri Kasdorp still holding on to that lead, as you were saying, over Adam Taylor. But there are a couple of battles starting to become closer and closer as we're starting to see, gaps starting to come back down towards the end of the race. The couple of main ones was between Hillebrand and Sova for that 4th place in the LMP2 class for the 44 and the 40 car, and the second one between the 64 and the 67 for 5th place in the GT satellite racing car and the Atlantic Motorsport car. But something that you said fairly interesting as you're doing your spiel there is that drivers are starting to get tired, and that isn't entirely true. And one point that Justin Sutton made during night when you weren't here is, for a good endurance racing team, for a good esports endurance racing team, you ideally want people from different parts of the globe, so people aren't racing at times that they're not normally awake.
That is the ideal, absolutely. But availability is always is one thing, but that's the ideal to try and do. But these drivers, unless you have a huge team, you still have drivers that are putting in immense amount of time, immense amount of hours, a long distance. So Justin is absolutely right. It's a fair point if you can do it, as Goran Djordjevic brings in the 79 Ferrari through the pits once again. But it's not always possible. But even though you going through the certainly the nighttime spell, you want people to be at their freshest. That's when you really want to deploy the drivers that are at their freshest, because that is where where they're going to be at the I'll say the most dangerous, but at most risk of being in trouble. And interesting, we just had a message that Wojciech Polesny is trying to rejoin the race. He'll be 151 laps down. That'll be interesting if his car gets back underway.
151 laps down, yes, 25 laps. I make that off the next car being the Blackhawk number 6. But yes, it'd be rather interesting if they turned up 150 odd laps down. Something that I've personally not seen before. No,
that would be, I'm sure, a bit of a new one in Le Mans racing. I'm really sure that was I'm trying to remember what Wojciech Polesny retired for. I thought it was an accident. So the cars can be rebuilt in quite a number of hours, but Wojciech Polesny is a racer I've seen before in other categories, so he's a very determined driver. But that would be that's a different level of determination to rejoin a Le Mans race that many laps down and to see what they can do. But hey, you never know.
Yes, indeed, you do never know. But having a look at the GT lead battle, Nitro Velix made that pit stop that previous lap, and so they've just fallen behind the Team Virus number 79 again. However, the gap between them under 7 seconds, about 6.5 at the moment for that GT lead. And the Nitro Velix number 60 car will be wanting to get that win, because that means if they get the win here today, that means they've won 5 out of the 8 races, which is pretty dominating.
Wow, yeah, that would be something pretty incredible. That car from Wojciech Polesny does remain in the garage, as I feared it would. Cedar Weischer has brought that car 67 back into the pits once more. And on they go in their Ferrari. Still, Yuri Kasdorp maintains a healthy lead at the front. With less than 3 hours remaining then, he has nearly a lap to go between himself and Adam Taylor. But as we've seen, if they have a major crash, that could be 10 minutes gone, and that could drop them right the way back. And again, it was Yuri Kasdorp that started the race for the car 31, and it was started at the back of the field behind the GTs. So it would be such an incredible feat. I mean, winning Le Mans is a great feat no matter where you start, but starting at the back of the field, working your way through, avoiding everyone else's incidents to take the win, that would be something very special for them.
Do something very, very special as P2 comes in from the LMP2 class. Dennis Jordan in the 37 1 Oracle 05 this, and of course that LMP2 class, the only spec class that we have here in the VEC. All of them are Oracle 05 Nissan, so they've all got the same chassis, they've all got the same engine. It's the driver quality and setups that separate everyone in the LMP2 class, as opposed to LMP1 and LMGT, I should say rather, where you've got a variety of marks to choose from that all have their different strengths and weaknesses.
Very true. And we talked about how the teams are having to face setting up their cars. Some teams will opt to make a good setup and adjust it as best they can for the variety of drivers that they've got, whereas Jimmy Broadbent, the captain of the 22 Nissan car, was very much a case of that's the setup and the drivers have to adapt to it. Well, that's absolutely fine if they can. Can't blame them for that. But their race, it's such a shame, because they're the only runners of that Nissan car. They've had a variety of different challenges to overcome running that Nissan this season, from what he was explaining when he spoke to us earlier. And from being comfortably in the lead at the end of the first 3 hours to being in the penultimate position towards the bottom of the class, that is a shame. But as we know what issues they've had. Nicolas Hilbrandt brings that 44 car in as well for one of the last stops for their team. So just counting down the miles, counting down the time, but their drivers are doing their absolute best to just maintain that momentum. But I'd say we mentioned it before. I mean, the remaining 22 cars are heroes in their own right through surviving this long.
Yep, heroes in their own right, surviving this long. Of course, we're now under what would be halfway through a normal, well, the shortest VEC race that we have here at SRC. But yes, in the final 3 hours of the race, some of these drivers might just be wanting to start to phone it in a little bit. Just say, right, we don't want to take any risks. We don't want anything bad to happen to this car in the next 3 hours. So just dialing it back just a little bit. But I can tell you that for some of these teams, such as the 40 and the 44 who are in a battle, the 60 and the 79, the 64 and the 67, the three of those in a battle, none of them will want to dial it back. They want to get that final position in these final 3 hours.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's pros and cons no matter how you approach a race. Especially in an endurance race such as Le Mans, you can either seek to attack every single lap, but that's very, very trying on your drivers, especially having been in the car for so long, having covered so many miles. Karen Parkin brings in car 32 from the P2 category. So, of course, attacking every corner does try and help to keep the mind focused, but again, there's only so long you can keep hitting qualifying type laps. The machinery won't always take it as well. Just looking at Adam Taylor as he came through Arnage, the tail really didn't want to stick, so gave a little bit too many beans, but easy enough held on to him. I mean, he's within a lap of Yuri Kasdorp, and where's Borja Milan? Borja Milan he's just coming into Indianapolis, I think. Oh no, beg your pardon, he's just coming through Malzahn, so there's a comfortable gap between second and third, so Adam Taylor's not under any particular pressure at the moment. But again, those little mistakes creep in. If you make a mistake, for instance, where Adam Taylor is now through the Porsche and Corvette curves, the outcome could be far, far worse than a few seconds lost.
Yeah, you're saying that, getting the car getting very wiggly out of Arnage. Of course, Arnage being the slowest car on this track, and that's where you really have to try and get your power down as early as possible. The same goes for Mulsanne Corner, but Arnage, you really have to try and get your power down early to maximise your speed as you come up on the straight up towards the Porsche curves. Now, of course, you've got the treacherous Porsche curves themselves, almost like a street circuit through that section of the track. The walls are right there either side of you, and a little mistake, hitting a curb too hard that unsettles the car, or just misjudging overtaking a piece of traffic towards the end of the Porsche curves could send you into the wall at a very high velocity.
Indeed, and Kieran Parkin has handed that car over to April Karlsveld, presumably the last driver change for that particular team. So on they go then to see what they can do in car 32. Coming around Tetra Rouge onto the Grenadier once more with, can't tell who that is, a Sam McDonald in the background. So he'll be able to find his own way past, I would think. But yeah, there's several ways, as I was saying earlier, there's several ways of approaching, particularly the tail end of a race, whether it's an endurance race or not. You either try and attack it hard to keep the mind focused, or you just back it off and play the safer game. Problem is, if you back off, it's easier to lose that focus. It's easy just to make that little mistake. So it's very difficult. It's down to the drivers. It depends how fresh they are. Depends how well adapted they are to performing in these kind of circumstances as to which approach you take. Also down to the machinery. Again, just jumping back to Adam Taylor, again sliding through that second chicane. He could well be pressing very, very hard, but again, there's not much life left in those tyres. You do run the risk of just skewing off into the dust, and all that hard work would then be for nothing. And that must be it's a terrible feeling at the best of times. But in a 24-hour event, to just lose it in the last three must be devastating.
Yeah, losing it in the final moments of the race, certainly not what you want. Indeed, we saw that happen last year here at Le Mans, where the two GT leaders, with about 30 minutes to go, came together coming out of the second chicane and handed victory to the third place team. It was absolutely heartbreaking. It was Caspian Motorsports and someone else, I can't quite remember, but it was a Eunice Radio in the what was that point Revolution Sim Racing, if memory serves me correctly, did pick up the GT win last year. It's something that has been happening over these previous few laps, that Kasper Stoltz that 60 car has been closing in on Goran Djurdjevic in that 1719 Varis car for the GT lead.
Indeed, the Corvette is staring at the back of that Ferrari now. And that helps to focus the mind as well. On board with the Corvette, you can just see as the Ferrari comes over the crest, you can just about see, he's got his eyes very much on the prize, and that helps to focus the mind as well. When you get to a point of when time is no longer on your side, starting to push becomes the only option as opposed to an option. You can no longer rely upon the guy ahead making a mistake. Now, of course, there's still, just under 3 hours to go. There's still a number of laps still to complete, so they're not quite in the I must force a move moments yet, but they're getting to that point. When you're 3 hours into a 24-hour race, you can't be pushing and you can't be trying to force a mistake. There's no point. The risk is too great. But when time is depleted or is depleting, you then have to start forcing the issue. You then have to start to really make your car that wide in the mirrors of the car ahead of you to get up that position, because you don't have much time with which to complete the move. So Kasper Stoltz will know this. Of course, Goran Djurdjevic will know that. So there goes the Ferrari. They come through the Arnage, and that Corvette is beginning to, he has been reading that Ferrari in for a while, and that is definitely a battle we need to keep an eye on.
Yeah, definitely a battle to keep an eye on. As you were speaking there, I was just going through all the cars, and it was Sam McDonald who's just come into the pits in that number 28 DHR car. That LMP2 had a very, very leery pit entry there on the grass, all sorts of sideways, but did manage to catch it up, gather it all back up again, and be able to keep controlling it. But yes, this pit entry lane is very unique as well, because it follows the Ford chicanes in a way. It goes left and right and left and right as well, but it's far tighter than the Ford chicanes itself, and also there's not really any landmarks that you can use to determine when to start braking for each of those chicanes.
No, indeed. So you've got to kind of remember, you've got to just concentrate coming into the pits, because there is nothing worse. And I've seen it happen. I've seen mistakes happen on pit entry. Everybody, it's one of those kind of really, I say, embarrassing moments as a driver. I mean, even the greats make mistakes. Lewis Hamilton famously threw it into the pit lane entry. David Coulthard has done the same thing in his F1 career as well. And it's just one of these things where you take for granted just how easy it is to make a mistake. And of course, they are doing endurance racing, so these guys have got that much more fatigue to deal with than the likes of Formula 1 drivers. So it is so easy, and it's difficult to kind of comprehend how easy those mistakes are, because they've been going for so long. They've been hitting all their apexes for such a great length of time. And it's easy to think, how on earth have you just made this mistake? Well, they're that tired. And if you make one mistake, especially on that pit lane entry, because it's fairly, comparatively very little used tarmac, it's exceedingly slippery. So it's that much easier to actually make that mistake.
Yes, and of course, something that still breaks my heart is, of course, another pit lane incident. A famous one is, of course, David Coulthard doing that in F1. But of course, another very difficult pit lane is one at Bathurst as well, because it's got all of the chicanes coming in. It's very easy to overcook it and go into a tyre barrier there, as I have found numerous times via practice. As joining us now from the number 32 Atlantic Motorsport LMP2 car, Mr. Grease is back with us. It's Lazarus Philippakis.
Yeah, I'm back.
Came to annoy me. So what's been happening with that number 32 car since the last time we spoke?
It's coming back actually. We got the place from Dark Engine. Now trying to get Seawolf, but a full laps down.
At this point for the Atlantic car, is it really just getting the car to the end?
Yes, or hopeful rain, but I doesn't think it's coming.
You never know. There could always be a little bit of rain causing a little bit of chaos. But are you? Has the stint, has the strategy gone roughly to plan for your car?
From what we started, no. But now it's getting better. Let's put it. Yeah, and April are now in the car and doing an amazing job as always.
Are you going to be getting back into the car towards the end of this race,
No,
or is that it for
that's
you?
the end of the controller, boy.
End of the controller point. So, Chris, is there anything that you'd like to ask Lazarus?
Not that hasn't already been asked previously. As I was looking at April's taken over the car recently. I mean, when you've been in the car for a long time, this is something that we kind of covered before. You know what performance you're aiming for. Are you confident that April can carry on where you left off and keep the momentum, or are you trying your best to kind of give as much space to the car behind as you can? I mean, how confident are you? You have to kind of forgive me. I'm not as familiar with some of these names than certainly some others. But I mean, how confident are you in the drivers in your team?
April is the best of us in terms of dealing with the drivers, so I have confidence there. She may take a few weeks, but that's April.
Excellent. Well, a long-deserved rest is waiting for you, so thank you for your time, and good luck for the remainder of the race. Stephen Bailey and Borja Milan came out side by side. Stephen Bailey is a lap down from Borja, but even still, Stephen did not want to give any space over his rival, despite the fact he's a couple of positions down and a full lap in difference. He's still determined to get away.
Stephen Bailey seems to have got a little bit of a jump there, almost by the looks of it, over Borja Milan, that number 17 car as they come down the first section of the Mulsanne Straight. They've got the GNS car, oh no sorry, that's the DHR car, the LMP2 car ahead of them. So the teammate, the sister car to the one that Stephen Bailey is currently driving in. That battle for the GT counter up though, Kasper Stoltz has now got Djordjevic in his sights, and of course that gives you a little bit of an extra boost where you can actually see your rival in the distance.
Yeah, it piles the pressure onto Goran Djordjevic's shoulders. He knows that Corvette's there. I mean, you'll hear the thing coming. That beautiful growl of the C7 can be heard from about a mile away, so you know full well it's there. But again, it just adds to what you've already got to deal with. You're keeping your car on the black stuff, keeping it out of the walls, and now you've got this big yellow Corvette nose staring at you. It's motivation on both sides, but it's something that it's more on Djordjevic's shoulders, because again, he's seen how lap on lap Stoltz has been closing him in. So it's going to be fascinating to see how that Ferrari keeps the Corvette at bay.
They're trying to keep that bright yellow Corvette at bay, very reminiscent of the Corvettes that run in the WeatherTech Sports Car Series in America. You know, that bright yellow classic Corvette cover. But indeed, as they come down towards Mulsanne, Connor, what will be these guys' 313th time this race. Both of them get a very nice run out of Arnash Corner, which is arguably one of the most important corners of the track, because of that big braking zone that is so easy to mess up. And it's a slight tricky braking zone because of that kick just before it, but also the importance of it on the to get the power down, to get as much acceleration down as possible, because of that long straight all the way up to Indianapolis.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got to think that certainly around where they are now, Indianapolis and Arnaz, is a lot of gravel. So if you throw it too wide, the potential to lose time is exacerbated that much more by the surface that you're going to then be riding over. So both cars taking that quite well. Stoltz was a little bit wider coming out of Arnaz, but nothing too bad at all. Dowie Tapper comes in again for the tail of the P1s and car 14. So again, we saw earlier on this morning Tapper have that huge incident coming through Indianapolis. So try as he may, but trying to regain 8 laps with the field of drivers ahead of him was always going to be a pretty big feat. But exactly as you said, you never know, there may well be rain later on. That's probably, oh goodness me, now coming back to the battle for the GT lead. Djordjevic is doing what he can to keep that ever charging Corvette at bay. Looking at the lap times for both cars, it's been quite similar for the last few, but it's all been in the Corvette's favour, and on they continue then. Oh, and you see they're bouncing off of the apex, coming through to start another lap then, but all the momentum is currently with Stoltz.
Indeed, closing, coming up towards the Dunlop curve into the right-hand side as Kasper Stoltz. Djordjevic will try to hang on around the outside, which in turn becomes the inside for the Dunlop chicane, and that was a big lock-up. I think it was for the Virus car, but Djordjevic just manages to hold on to the GT lead for now as they come down towards the Tetra Rouge S. No doubt that number 79 car will be under attack within the next half lap.
Yeah, absolutely. It was the Ferrari that was locking up, trying to defend that inside line coming into the S's. Now, into the Dunlop chicane, and well defended it was. He had to close off that second apex to prevent the Corvette doing the switchback, but here comes Stoltz again as they come on to the Nadia. We've seen people drafting. We saw the two Ferraris, Strand and I forget who was piloting the second Ferrari at the time, Cido Vija. Now pilots now going to the outside. It's Stoltz then, but he's just run out of pace. The Ferrari had just enough momentum to keep alongside. Now Stoltz going to have the inside. The Ferrari's going to have the outside for that middle part of the chicane. And wow, Stoltz didn't lose any time whatsoever. Still nailed to the rear wing of the car, of car 79. Is Kasper Stoltz getting back into the slipstream. That slipstream's really helping the Corvette, but when he jumped out of it, he lost an incredible amount of momentum. So again, that car 79 staying nailed to the inside line for the next chicane. Stoltz then resuming the inside line, the racing line rather, and that's put the Ferrari really out of kilter. Oh, impact between the two as a little bit of door banging going on. Stoltz managed to keep it out of the wall, and Djordjevic still maintains that position.
Indeed, I know these are GT cars. It does have touring in the title, but that doesn't mean you have to treat them like touring cars. That was a bit of door banging coming out of the second chicane. Kasper Stoltz will now be really fired up the inside of the Mulsanne corner, right over those curbs on the King. He's managed to get the inside line. Djordjevic, I think, is going to try the up and under, but he's got to let Nuno Pinto, that number 25 Romano Motorsports car, pass. A fantastic job there by Kasper Stoltz, sending up the inside of Mulsanne corner, but Djordjevic will now reply coming up to Indianapolis.
Yeah, he's going to go for the outside line on the King leading up to Indianapolis. It's going to give, does he have the momentum to get back into the lead? He does, but can he? Is when he hits the braking zone, that's who we're going to see the last of the late breakers. He actually braked a bit early, and the Corvette remains the GT leader for now. And just as that's Hilbrand coming up behind them in the P2. So Djordjevic lets Hilbrand through, and of course then Stoltz will probably be very little inconvenienced by that. That will give Djordjevic a little bit of slipstream off the back of the P2, not for a great deal of time though, because away goes Nicolas Hilbrand past the Corvette, and let's see now whether Stoltz can start to break away now that he doesn't have the slipstream from the Ferrari.
It was a very interesting line that Stoltz took through the right-handed kick just for Indianapolis, right on the grass, almost turning that Corvette into a rallycross car for a little bit, but that is now the number 60 car in the lead of this GT race, and he appears to have pulled a nice little gap over the 79 car at the moment, up to about 1.5 seconds already after overtaking him at Mulsanne corner. A fantastic job there, but again, this is why we like all this racing. These GT cars always produce fantastic racing.
That they do. Now, we saw this with the two Ferraris at the tail of the field, where the setup was making huge differences through the Porsche and Corvette curves, and then the roles were reversed along the very long Nadia straight. So now we're going to see whether, I suspect the Ferrari probably running less wing than the Corvette, so that's how the Corvette's been able to open up that gap through the curves. We'll see if the 79 car of Goran Djordjevic has got an answer when he comes back onto the Nadia. Oh, got a little bit squirrely coming into the S's. So again, if he's running less downforce, that would explain that. So we'll see if he is able to close back in, but that's quite a big gap that Kasper Stoltz has already opened up. There comes who's that that's coming up behind him? Svartenball that's coming up behind him, so he needs to move there. Tiny bit of slipstream for the Ferrari. Not too bad. Shane Burke has come into the pit as well from the LMP2. That's from third in class there. So all eyes still on the GT battle. Let's see if Djordjevic is able to close back down that Corvette.
They're trying to close down that Corvette. We know that the 729 car is good. It hasn't quite had the results that it would have liked this season. But Stoltz appears to be getting a nice gap over Djordjevic. Having a look now as they're almost a lap past their battle. Stoltz has a nice 3-second gap over Djordjevic now, so it appears that Corvette has the pace over the Ferrari for the moment. Having a look at 4th place in the LMP2 class as well, the gap between the two of them, between 4th and 5th, at the moment is 17 seconds. However, that previous lap, Nikolai Hillebrand caught 3 seconds up on Federico Silva in that 40 car. That could be another battle that could be coming together within the next 15 minutes or so.
Wow, at that pace, yeah, Hillebrand is going to be right with Silva, exactly as you say, as he's just come past Strand in that next Ferrari. So battles are beginning to form through the field. Not so for Yuri Kasdorp, though. He's continued just to maintain that gap at around the 3-minute mark between himself and Adam Taylor, and that's what you want when you've been running for so long. You don't want to have to put the ever dwindling energies you've got left into having to defend. So of course, Stoltz has probably had a bit more in the energy tank than Djordjevic at this point. So that Corvette then taking the lead of the GT field, as we saw. Schroeder is continuing to enjoy. That's just a comparative peace and quiet. He is a lap ahead of Tobias Polacek in the 37 car. So he's got a bit of time in his pocket, but as we've mentioned before, one mistake can completely change where everybody stands.
Yes, one mistake can change the entire complex of this race, and Frederick Schroeder is indeed a whole lap ahead of that number 37 Monaco car. 37 Monaco unable to make it 4 races on the bounce by looks of it at the moment. They have won the previous 3 races, but at this point it looks like it's going to be another 2nd place, but something that is fairly impressive in terms of that number 1 of the Monaco number 37 LMP2 car is that they finished off of the podium only once this season. An incredibly consistent job from that team. You can see exactly why it looks like they're going to win the championship.
Yeah, that is an impressive stat by any team in any circumstance. Even more so when your races are just that much longer than everybody else's. 2nd place, car number 1 comes in Adam Taylor, along with Bas Svartenball from LMP2. So more driver changes afoot. Many of your drivers are waiting in the wings to take their respective cars over. Oh, blimey. A lot of tyre smoke there from Adam Taylor as he comes to halt. So we've got 2.5 hours remaining of this classic race, and actually Djordjevic has come in. That 79 Ferrari has chosen now to get that car back into the pits. Still plenty of fighting to go. The Aston was taken over by Alex Brautigam last time around, so he's on track trying to catch up with next person in line. Here's Daniel Almeida, but quite a way down the track. Where's Daniel? He's coming up to, I think he's coming up to Indianapolis. Yes, he is. Whereas Brautigam he's on the Nadia approaching the Mulsanne, so quite a distance there, but not unassailable.
Yes, the distance between the two of them at the moment is 47 seconds or so. That is a pit stop. It could just be that Almeida has a pit stop in hand over the 81 Blackhawk car. You just have to see, he might need to make another pit stop in the very near future. But the previous lap, Nicholas Hillebrand in that number 44 car's taking another 3 seconds out of Federico Silva. That gap down to 15 seconds now for 4th place in the LMP2 class.
That's an incredible turn of pace, especially at this stage in this race. That is amazing. That car is really pressing on then. Hillebrand is going for the all-out aggressive move as opposed to the, as he was talking about earlier, 2 different ways of approaching this stage of a race. Either you just stamp the loud pedal through the floor, or you take it easy and just bring the car home. Hillebrand choosing the former, and at the moment it's really paying off. Just got to be careful that he can maintain that kind of pace for as long as he needs to, as Hillebrand comes through Indianapolis and Arnage. Still some way to go, but that is I'm just really stunned that he's maintained that pace for so long. As that's not just a standard just get the car around the track kind of pace.
Not a standard pace, and absolutely incredible, almost like metronomic, the ability to put the laps in that consistently.
Nuno Pinto comes in from 4th position in the P1 category. So, Borja Milan comes up into 2nd place with Djokovic's pit stop. And he finds himself on the Nadia as well. So 3 cars on the same lap, although say Pinto has just come in. Federico Silva in car 4 seat comes in as well. So that impressive pace will be temporarily halted. Goran Djokovic has had a very long stop and now hands that over to Bram Bielen.
Yes, that's why it will be the final driver swap and likely the final set of tyres going on that number 79 car's. Bram Bielen looks like he is going to be the one to bring that car towards the end of this race. I can see Joachim Stensnes in the swap zone as well, the Niter Velux driver for the number 30 LMP2 car. It looks like he's going to be taken over from Frederick Schroeder when he comes in for his next stop. Schroeder just coming through Mulsanne corner now, so expect to see the number 30 car coming at the end of this lap.
Yeah, a pretty comfortable gap then that Stensnes finds himself, or is waiting for him to take over. Federico Silva is still in the pit, so there was tyres going on to that car, so a long pit stop for them. The 64 Ferrari Matt Strand has come in as well, and along with that was Jimmy Broadbent in the 22 Nissan. Oh, now he was flashing his lights there to alert. It's actually Vincenzo Capella that has taken over that 4 seat. Jimmy Broadbent was flashing his lights. We have seen cars tangled up in the pits just as one comes to rest, as another one is ready to launch, and Jimmy doing the right thing to alert Capella that he was coming into his pit box. One of the last stops then for Broadbent to go through in the 22 Nissan. As try as he may, he still finds himself trailing a lap over Stephen Bailey, so Bailey's actually just coming in as well. So he's done everything he could to try and recover lost time. It's so difficult when you've got drivers like Stephen Bailey is the one you're next chasing.
He's Stephen Bailey, the next one down the road that he's chasing. 3 minutes 35, roughly separate the two of them at the moment, but indeed he is the one that is next in the sights of that 22 GNS car. It'd be good for them to get a top 5 to finish out this season. Frederick Schroeder still with that whole lap lead over Tobias Polocek in the 37 Wanako car. Not coming into the pits this time round. He's going round the Dunlop curve, that flat out right-hander that begins the lap. And it's very interesting to see that he's not coming in this time round. Next time round will most likely be it, because you really don't want to get fuel numbers wrong.
No, most certainly not. A very quick stop by Stephen Bailey. So car number 3 not wanting to give up too much time to the chasing 22. We've seen how fast Jimmy Broadbent is behind the wheel of that Nissan, and Stephen Bailey is not wanting to let as any time to the chasing Jimmy Broadbent. And Dowie Tapper continues at the back of the P1 field. So yeah, it is now just running the laps. Kasper Stolzer still leads the GT field now by quite a comfortable margin over what is now Bram Bielen in that Varus Ferrari. And Daniel Almeida brings in the third place car, 99, the Corvette, from third in class. Where is Beltegam? Beltegam in the Aston is just coming through the Ford chicane now, so he'll take over third in class. In car number 81, the Soul Aston we've seen all race long. There we go. Almeida, of course, having an extended start from the last one. That one will see race leader Yuri Kasdorp brings in car 21 under no immediate threat at the moment, but again, you cannot allow complacency to come in. You may think, oh, I have a comfortable lead, I don't have to push too hard, but that again is another recipe for disaster.
Indeed, it is a recipe. It could well be a recipe for disaster. We would just have to see. But I do believe those GT leaders, that number 60 car, Kasper Stolzer currently will have that. I think they still need to make one more driver swap. If I remember correctly, I think Martin Dagerland is going to get into that car at the end of this race, or at least for the last hour or 90 minutes or so. There's still going to be one more driver swap in that number 60 car, and that will bring the long stop back towards the Virus car, so we get to see what the gap is between the two of them, as there was a driver change as well for one of the teams further down. I've managed to forget who it was already. Yeah. Oh, it was Alex Breitigam getting in that number 81 car. There we go, that's what it was. Taking over from taking over that 81 car, and a very good job so far for that Blackhawk car, staying on that final step of the podium, and it'd be a great thing to finish the season with. They've already finished twice on the podium, a second place at Istanbul at round 3, and then a third at Interlagos, and it'd be a great job to finish on the podium for this final race.
3 marks occupy the podium spots for the GT class at present. Car 60, the Corvette, just coming through Tete Rouge. You have Bram Bielen taking a slightly wide line through the first chicane on the Hanadier, and of course, as you mentioned, Alex Breitigam in the Aston on the Hanadier himself. Arnaud Schumblier has taken over the 99 Corvette from 4th place. He finds himself a lap down from the red Aston Martin, and Eric Schmieder is in the Ferrari that was handed over by Matt. He is then looking to press on in car 64, and Frederick Schroeder is in the pits as well from the lead of the P2 class.
Yep, Frederick Schroeder coming into the pits from the lead of the LMP2 class. There'll be Joachim Stensnes getting into that number 30 car, and most likely staying in that car until the end of the race.
You would think so. These guys have been used to having 3-hour stints or thereabouts, so I suspect it's going to be the last time we see a different driver take control of that one, as tyres have just gone on to Frederick Schroeder's car. So jumping back up to our leader, Yuri Kasdorp. He's just come past Bram Bielen in the blue Ferrari. So again, he remains unchallenged. Second in the P1s is Borja Milan. He was on the Hanadier. Niki Dragovic is just working his way past some traffic there, as he continues to press on. Nuno Pinto has done an impressive amount of miles in that 25 car. Just got a little bit caught out there behind Sam McDonald coming through the Dunlop chicane. And on they continue then, as Nicholas Hillbrand brings in the Magenta Warriors car from 4th in class.
Yep, bringing in that Magenta Warriors car from 4th in class. That's going to allow Vincenzo Capella likely to regain that 4th position and indeed 11th overall in LMP2. But yes, there is a battle that's been raging on for years and years and years here in the SRC. It's going to be the 17 versus the 1-1 versus Virus yet again. This time it's Nicky Jakovic trying to chase down Bora Milan. 31 seconds separate the two of them at the moment, and the previous lap they were basically inseparable. So that is something to keep an eye on for the last 2 hours and 20 minutes of this race. It's going to be very interesting to see if Jakovic, who we know is an incredibly fast driver, can close down those 30 seconds on Bora Milan, who, as we all know, is also an incredibly fast driver.
Very, very true. Very true. But of course, if Bora Milan's car has to come in again, of course, it's going to shuffle the order once more. As Milan comes through the 4 chicanes once more. We are pressing on towards lap 370 for race leader Yuri Kasdorp. Looking to break that record. Obviously, Joshua mentioned earlier that the numbers say they are going to get about 408 laps done. Absolutely stunning pace and consistency by the P1 frontrunner. We'll see if he's able to maintain that pace towards the tail end of the race. He is catching up to Svartenbol as well, but he's going to catch him on the Hanadier. It's not going to be too much of a problem for Borja Milan. And Jakovic has some time to make up, but still plenty of time for the order to be completely reshuffled. He's catching up to, that's Andrew Ford, who is in, I think, 6th in class, I think, in the P2s. So, yep, through goes Jakovic. And on he goes in the number 1 car.
Yep, through goes Jakovic, reigning champions number 1, and indeed champions elect. I think we can pretty much say that they're going to win the championship at this point. I think they are going to be. Well, no, actually, you can't. If the DNF at this point, no matter Motorsports will take it. So you can't exactly say it's going to be finished at the moment. You just have to wait until the checkered flag falls, as is always the case in endurance racing. But Nicky Jakovic coming down the first section of the Mulsanne straight, coming down towards that first chicane. He's starting the apex of that first chicane is about 120 kilometers an hour and braking all the way up from 340 down to 120. A big braking zone, the best part of 150 miles an hour.
Yep, absolutely. And it seems like that where just one little mistake, if he brakes just a few meters too late, and it could go horribly wrong. Particularly, he's coming into the second chicane now. It's more, I mean, there's a fair bit of runoff there, so if you made a mistake there, it's not going to be too bad. But if you made a mistake at Mulsanne, the Mulsanne hairpin where he's coming up to is a lot of grass and some very eager walls. So yeah, he's not. If he's going to need to focus his mind, it'll be in corners like that. He's just coming up to Mulsanne now. There's that lovely big gravel pit on the left, but there is then that one on the outside. So if he travels through there, he'll find it very hard to turn the car and could well slam into the wall. Just seen going out of the shot there, Casper Stolz in that Corvette, still pressing on. This is where the pit strategies. We talked throughout the race of some cars needing to, press on but pit earlier, and it's going to be, towards this end of the race where we'll see whose pit strategies have paid off.
Yeah, whose pit strategies have paid off? Who has got the supreme strategy at the moment? Some teams deciding to do the shorter stints to try and maximise the time on low fuel, and we've seen some teams do the traditional, just fill the car up and go. That second strategy seems to be most prominent at the moment, as Nicky Jakovic has just passed that number 60 car on the way up to the Dunlop curves, the Porsche curves. But yes, coming through here, this Porsche 919 getting up to 280 kilometers an hour before braking for that right-hander at the bottom of the hill. And when the walls are so close to each other, that seems like an incredible speed.
I love watching the cars come through that sequence of corners when the car is well balanced and the driver is at their comfortable. It just glides through those, and yeah, exactly as you say, the speed that they carry is just phenomenal. we've seen in the history of Le Mans, in its real world guys and in sim versions, the accidents that happen there can be absolutely catastrophic. At that kind of speed, the barrier is even less forgiving. But yeah, I've been watching like Nuno Pinto and basically any of the P1 guys. I've been watching them just put a smile on my face. The way that it looks effortless from our side. Of course, when the pros are doing what they do best, it does look pretty effortless. As April Kansvand brings in car 32 into the pits again. But exactly as we were saying before, for those that think it's easy, try it and you'll realise just how difficult it actually be to do it, and to do it for so long, and to do it that consistently.
Yeah, a lot of concentration is needed. A surprising amount of concentration is needed just to make sure that you don't throw the car into any of the numerous arco barriers, gravel pits and tyre barriers that we have around here at the Circuit de les Arts. Also, it takes quite a bit of physical effort as well, surprising amount of physical effort, because you have the 4-speed back and you have the you have the feel of the road. You've got the feel of the car as well, it resisting against you turning, it resisting against the curbs as well. And if you're very lucky, you've got a flat spot which can really shake your rig unbelievably depending on the severity of it. But also you've got if you do have an incident, you've got suspension damage that you have to compensate for as well, and the car then becomes incredibly twitchy, incredibly nervous, and that is almost more difficult than driving a full stint.
Well, indeed, as Tobias Polesiak brings that car 37 out of the pit, still second in class. Yeah, absolutely. Now, these guys, of course, practice and practice and practice and practice. No one really practices with a damaged car. Well, you can, I suppose, but it's not the optimum way of doing things. So when there is something that upsets the balance, such as flat-spotted tyres, suspension damage, some kind of aero problem, sometimes it's not worth getting these things fixed. You just carry on and you'll get it sorted in the next pit stop, and you suddenly have to completely change how you've been driving, where you brake, where you put the power down, and it just adds yet more pressure to an already very, very difficult race. So yeah, when these guys encounter a problem, it's their experience, their raw driver talent that will again define, separate the good from the great.
Yeah, just that little extra 10%, almost that little extra bit that the great, as you say, just able to keep that concentration, able to keep mentally strong in times of defence, in times of attack as well. And just also when you're driving alone, sometimes that's more difficult than trying to pass a competitor, trying to defend from a competitor, because you fall into a little bit of a trance and maybe lose concentration.
Yep, absolutely. When there's no one around you, especially if you've been following someone for a while, or you've had someone following you for a while, you kind of get used to them being there. So if you're the tracing car, you get used to not necessarily using them as a braking guide, but it's almost like they've braked, you know where your own braking point is, but it's almost like a kind of reminder that there's a brake. So now that sounds like a really daft statement, but when you've been racing for many hours, sometimes, exactly as you were saying, you just become so, you just do fall into a trance. Everything becomes muscle memory. So something just to kind of wake the conscience up and you snap you out of it. So actually, yes, I'm the one piloting this and not my subconscious. Sometimes you need that. Particularly in the closing stages, if the person you've been following is pitted or you've passed them, suddenly you're in a position when you're on your own. You've got to again rely on your own wits to just keep you at the peak edge of where you need to be. GT leader Stoltz has brought in car number 60.
Stoltz has brought in car number 60 from the lead of the GT class. Having a look further down at drivers in the drivers' hop area, and there's no one there for the number 60 car, so Kasper Stoltz will keep in that car for at least one more tank of fuel. But someone who is there is James Wilson, driver of the number 3 car, so no doubt we're going to see Stephen Bailey come in and bail out of that car from his final time, and it looks like James Wilson will stay in that number 3 car to the end of the race at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Bailey has been in there for quite a long time now. And as much as you love driving, there comes a point where you are glad to get out of the seat. And he's been doing what he can to close in on those on the as a lead lap +1, but because he's a lap down from the next 3 cars, he has done everything he can to close that down as he comes onto the back of Svartenbol through the Mulsanne hairpin. Easily navigated there. You see Dowie Tapper directly behind. Sam McDonald brings in car 28 as well from the tail of the P2 category. Casper Stoltz has remained in the GT lead, so that wasn't entirely surprising. It was a very, very short stop, but I would imagine there's going to be at least one more driver change for that Corvette. We saw Brambillin take over the Virus Ferrari, so it's not unreasonable to think that Corvette's got another stop. There is battles to be had for the GTE lead as yet.
Yeah, there are still battles to be had for that GTE leader. I do believe that Martin Dowland is going to be getting into that car again before the end of the race, so I believe there's going to be one more driver spot for that number 60 car as Sam McDonald comes in that number 28. Doug Henson Racing LMP2 car from 9th place in the LMP2 class. That gap between Born Milan and King-Kodiak just came down a little bit over the past few laps. That gap now down to 23 seconds. It's came down about 12 seconds or so.
Yeah, people still have energy in their tank somehow as we are fast approaching just over 2 hours to go. A lot of these... again, it just amazes me how many miles, how many kilometers these drivers have racked up in their respective cars. It's absolutely amazing that, again, endurance. That's always the key word in endurance racing. It's consistency over raw pace that will invariably win out. But yeah, these guys are absolute athletes. They've been amazing to keep their cars straight and true. We know that the problems that have befallen some of the cars, of course, Jimmy Broadbent's car 22, of course, has had a lot of trouble. And of course a number of cars haven't made it to this point. But yeah, it's absolute respect to our drivers that are still going, and respect of course to those that tried their hand but sadly were not able to get this far. Andrew Ford brings his car in, car 46 from the P2 category, and he comes. Let's see what he's going to do. Assuming he's going to be a fuel stop. It is indeed. That car's remained flat, so more fuel for Andrew Ford, and on he will continue.
It's more fuel for that Seawolf Net Race number 46. Andrew Ford currently at the wheel of that. We see Colin Blamey in that car. The other drivers of that car being Nicholas Probadnik, Mike Volterskosser and Julian Hansen. But yes, Andrew Ford coming in that number, in that bright blue and yellow 46 car. It's still fairly dark in the pit lane though, actually. It isn't really until you get out into the sun-soaked track where you can take the headlights off. But yes, certainly in the shade there, still in the pit lane, it's still very dark.
Yeah, and that's a little surprising that, that it's still as dark as it is, but on he goes then. Andrew Ford's got a few laps on April Karlsvard behind him, so no immediate danger there. Gento Capella and Nicholas Hilbrand on the same lap as he. And on they continue there, so no immediate battles going on, but still some time for that to change.
Still some time for that to change, as you say. Just over 2 hours left here at the VEC at 24 hours of Le Mans, the season finale of season 10, and next year of course is going to be the 10th anniversary of the VEC starting, so you're going to have to wait for the final 2 tracks, which no doubt will be revealed in a due course.
Absolutely, and soon to return to the commentary box once again is going to be Mr. Anderson.
Way!
There he is.
Yes, I've had a fantastic little break, but I've got to come back for the last 2. It's almost mandatory that I come back for the last 2.
The Geordie Energizer Bunny returns to our side then.
Yeah, that's a new one on me actually. That's I'm coining that one.
sold, all yours. So what's been your take on what's happened for the last few?
Oh, it's been a fantastic few hours indeed, and while I've been here and even on my break, it's been really, really good a race, and just fantasticness as well. I really like how Monaco have been taking the fight to Virus, swapping back and forwards, second and third. We never really know where they're going to be, and this will be going on to the finish, and Ramada are coming back at it in a sense as well. They're not that, well, they're on the same lap as the Virus team, even though they are a bit far back in terms of physical distance, but it's still open as we enter these last couple of hours indeed. There's still a fair ways to go in this race, and we're about to see that in these couple of hours, and anything could still happen.
Yeah, your lap count predictions looking good. There's Yuri Kazdorp started 3:73. So I think it's fair to say that the previous lap record is looking like it's going to go.
Yeah, calculated 4:08, remember, at the previous marker with my calculator, and we're coming up to the 30 and 20 marker, so I'll be refreshing that soon and saying a more accurate prediction, but either which way, we're looking at plus 400.
Absolutely. It's a monumental achievement for our drivers. No matter which category you're in, something I've mentioned before and we'll say again, is really do hold these drivers in such esteem for how far their teams have made this machinery come. And again, respect to those that, as mentioned earlier, that haven't made it this far. I mean, even just to try it is incredible.
Yeah, even just to have a go at the 24 hours of Le Mans and try the best to have a crack at the big 24, and even getting to the end is an achievement for anyone, because it's 24 hours, it's 1,440 minutes of racing, and I've done 2-hour races, I've done 2.4-hour races solo before, but it's a team effort this, and some people really sacrificing time and energy, and people will ask, why would someone want to spend so much time sitting down, driving a virtual car in a virtual world for a virtual win? For these guys, it's real. It's so important for them. They put this time and dedication in for this 24 hours of Le Mans. It means that much for them. And, the winning is real for these guys. It really seriously matters.
Absolutely. I mean, there are those that do look unfavourably on sim racing. Well, you've also got to bear in mind that the esports is becoming a much bigger thing, not just in selected categories. Esports is becoming a much more invested in phenomenon. It's growing very, very quickly. You've got drivers that apparently are very good at multiple different disciplines: endurance, GT3, Formula 1. Again, I'll refer back to Wojciech Polesny. I've seen him compete in GT categories. So, a phenomenal driver, and he's turned his hand to the particular event. It hasn't paid off for him, unfortunately. But, to see a name like him pop up in several different places just goes to show that these drivers are phenomenal across the board. So, why wouldn't you? If you've got a love for this type of racing, why wouldn't you try and achieve the very best, the very pinnacle of that particular category?
Yeah, why not? Why not go for it? And, just these guys really, these people, these racers, no matter where they're from, whether you're April Carlsford or anyone else, Andrew Ford, Jimmy Broadbent, they all want the same thing. They all race and all want to go for it. And for these people, it all matters. They all want the same thing, and they all want to be at the top of their abilities and race in these endurance races and succeed. So it's all about the success of it, and whether it's success in terms of winning or success in terms of just making the end of the race. Everyone's out to enjoy themselves at the end of the day and enjoy their time in the racing. And someone who's enjoyed their time in the racing is David Yunt, who I'm going to bring into the broadcast booth very soon and we'll be having an interview with. In fact, he's moved up to the waiting area now. and we can in fact welcome the my nickname for him, we can nickname the welcome the Swiss Superman into the chat, David Yunt. Welcome to the broadcast, David. Great to have you with us, of course, someone who's been around the block for a long time as an endurance racer, and a racer here in the Virtual Endurance Championship with Blackhawk Racing in the 81 car. Alex Brautigam at the wheel of that at the moment, but one of the more experienced hands in the VEC joining us now, David.
Yeah, hello guys.
It is a pleasure to have you with us, and from the perspective of someone who's been around for a while as well, it doesn't really dull the appeal of this endurance racing, does it, over time?
Me, myself, I've always loved endurance racing, the most of it, so yeah, it's just natural that I turned up racing here after all. Although the love has always come from like my father and such, since been in Le Mans first in 1969 and such. It always went from time to time, then came on like every year, so starting from like the 2006 I started going as well, so it's always been special watching Le Mans first on the TV and then being at the race myself. And yeah, I don't know, I mean, the Formula 1 race is over after like 2 hours, but could be. And Le Mans is just taking, well, 24 hours, and I kind of love that you've got such a long time to race. Really something, it's an event where you kind of bond with your teammates and you have a good time and talk and such, so I've always found endurance racing the most interesting, since it's not just like one person and everything is trying his best and giving a gaming part of this. And I have to say, Alex and Kevin so far did a great job, and a lot more than me. I mean, I didn't drive that much and not in the night, so yeah, I'm gonna give the hats off to them already, since they drove so well so far, and we're lying in a good position right now.
Yeah, you are. You're running quite well in the GT category, and of course, Casper Stoltz at the wheel of the Knight of Alex leading GT, and then you're third in class at the moment in the Blackhawk Aston Martin, which is a very good result. And that Aston Martin itself being the car of choice, for Blackhawk Racing for quite a while now.
Yeah, well, I've already seen for my stints, they were not bad. I mean, I think I had a quadruple stint now myself too, trying to stretch the tires as long as possible, and there was still 59s possible towards the end, even though it's got a bit hard to turn in, so it's really difficult job now at the end, but it was manageable, and it was probably very, very important to do it, since it probably cost us one tire change less, we guess, so those save time not changing and not going pitching drives probably it's maybe helping us out later in the long run, so I'm happy. The only thing I'm not happy about is that kind of thanks to myself, I lost the car in the first chicane, spun and tried to turn around, and instead of my second strike after I came in clean after the driver swap, I immediately, probably I got maybe even 2 strikes that cost me a stop and go, and probably 5 laps that I could have gone on longer, but well, I did my best out of the stint, so right now I'm happy we're still fighting for third.
Yeah, and third is no slouch position either. You can be very happy with the third place as well. You know, it's an achievement in a 24-hour race that Blackhawk will get possibly third place if all goes to plan continuing, and you know, great to see that GT car succeeding so well. The Aston Martin is a lovely GT car by my own admission, and it looks sensational.
It does. I really like that livery this time. I thought like the black one was a bit the color combination didn't work out that great. This red one is looking much better. I'm really pleased driving it too. It's just, yeah, it looks like the Aston's not very popular this season. Probably it seems like people saying it's been a bit fragile, it doesn't run like as quick out of the box as other cars, so I guess there's a reason why it's just like us driving it. At least we do it quite competitively, we can say. It's just with wires and Alex driving like possessed people, there's just no chance against them, so yeah, we were just looking for battling Artura now for third, because we kinda knew if nothing happens up there, we're just fighting for third, so yeah, and we focused on that, and we're doing quite well with that right now.
Yeah, you are doing quite well. I don't know whether Chris has any questions for David.
Yeah, when you're a team that is seemingly the sole runner of a car, does that what was it that kind of what was it that won the Aston out for you? Obviously, the primary cars of the GT field seems to be the Corvette. So, what was it that for your guys that made you go for the Aston instead of the Corvette or the Ferrari?
Tough to say, since I was more of like the reserve driver starting the season. I think I didn't drive until, I can't even remember, was that like, I think I even got switched to the Ferrari and drove that for a few races. I'm not really sure. I mean, we've already knew the Aston since the previous season in Division 2, I think, where we did really well with it, and also Counters did or put the fight to, I think back then, Pools with Corazzari, and they're also driving a Corvette, so we were doing well with it. We found, most of the time it looked like we found a setup that was working with it, so I think it made sense to stay with it instead of having some surprises and then maybe also issues about not getting along with the new car we could drive. So maybe that's probably one of the reasons. But yeah, I didn't drive that much, but to be honest, I've driven the Ferrari. It's not that bad car, but it looked like, I think I prefer the Aston for now, although all of them are nice. Just a shame that some like the BMW and the Viper, the Snake, are not there, or well, they are, but we saw them near the end of the field so far, so they are not that popular probably, and a bit harder to get up to speed too. But well, that's how it is. I mean, we'll see. Maybe. I mean, if we continue with them, which I have no clue, of course. Maybe then we would have a bit more. We would maybe see them be maybe competitive against the other cars again for some reason. But I'm just talking out of my backside and blabbering about, and nothing's really gonna go that way. So we'll see.
Yeah, quite so. But very informative talking, and great pleasure to have you with us as well, David. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us, and good luck to you and the Black Hawk team for the rest of this race and season 11 in the upcoming times.
No problem. Thank you, and join the stream. See you at the end.
Will do. Thank you, David. And yeah, it's a great car, that little Black Hawk car. They've always gotten on well with themselves, Chris, and it's great to see them doing so well as well in third place in class. Yeah,
they're keeping pace with Bram Beelen in the Ferrari. I was looking at the lap times, they're very, very comparable. Stephen Bailey has handed over car number 3 to James Wilson. That's going to be the last driver change for the 5th place runner. So car 3 now in the hands of Mr. Wilson. No one else currently lining up for a driver change, so that should be the last one for them. Still some time to gain for the top guys, and Yuri Kazdop continues to show the pace.
Yeah, continually showing the pace here. The Velosim Sport team, Kazdop out there running riot over everybody else. A lap ahead of Jakovic and Milan and Pinto. It's on that current lead lap, and nobody else really is just setting the pace right now and on for the record. I did check actually at the 13-20 minute mark, and we are on, depending on how many extra laps there are, if there is running over potentially if he finishes before the clock hits 0, we're on for anywhere from 408 to 410 laps. So we will not just break the record, we will demolish it.
Nicely done. So I mean, even if Yuri comes into trouble, he's got 3 more cars that are only a lap down, so that torch will be taken up by someone if, and we of course hope that he doesn't, but if Yuri Kazdop does run into trouble, then somebody else will take up that mantra. But we are looking set to, as you say, obliterate that record. That just goes to show how consistent and how fast these guys have been. It's absolutely amazing to see.
It is, yeah. The consistency of these guys has been nothing short of sensational throughout this whole race, and just how clean they've been as well and how sensible they've been around Le Mans this year. It's been really good to see that we managed to get this far without as many interruptions as we had last year, and the fact that we're making this much progress towards the lap record says something. We've had a fully dry race, and really is going to show just how much Le Mans, can give in the Virtual Endurance Championship, and how good these guys are, that they can be better than the actual drivers in the Le Mans Championship race, even though this is virtual and the cars aren't as fast.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is showing what can be done if you have the skill and the dedication to hone that skill to the best of your abilities. But one thing I always try to do is always implore those that if you have a love for this type of racing, if you enjoy endurance, you want to give it a try, don't be afraid to. It's very easy to look at these guys and think, I am never going to be that quick. We've had it before, a different series I commentate on. One of the best in the world only 6 months ago was using a control pad and every assist that was available to them. And 6 months on, they're suddenly one of the fastest in the world. So anything is absolutely possible. You think, okay, I can't do that now. Don't compare yourselves to the top guys if you've never tried it before. Get out there and give it a try. You just never know. You could be the next champion in waiting.
It could be, yes. I mean, we've got the likes of Borja Milan and, Dawe Tapper and Joachim Stensnes all here. But even people who have come through the Academy Series can find themselves in the top flight Division 1 Championship. I mean, take George Manasakis, for instance. I think he had to come through the Academy Series to get himself initially the Team Virus drive, and he did so with flying colours and came in, was the super sub for Team Virus and ended up helping them win several times. And, anyone who comes to the Academy Series, does the Academy, gets the license and gives it a go, can become a world champion. It's just applying yourself and working well in the team, because it's not always the team with the fastest drivers that wins, because as we know, in endurance racing, anything can happen, and well, sometimes you want consistency, and that's what drivers can give. Yes, they might not be the fastest sometimes, but if you can get it to a certain point so your star fast driver can get in and move forward, then that's sometimes all you need. And yeah, just it doesn't really matter if you're not the fastest, you can still have a go.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always important to be quick, yes, I grant you that, but consistency is always the far greater importance in an endurance event. Even in shorter races, consistency is almost always more important than outright pace. You can set the world's fastest qualifying lap, but if 3 laps later you've binned it into the wall, it's all for nothing. So those that can just keep hitting the quick laps, if not the quickest laps, lap on lap on lap on lap on lap, especially if you're covering, as we were talking about mileage earlier, if you're covering 5,000 miles, you want to do it quickly, sure, but you need to do it consistently, keeping your car out of the wall. As Djokovic then from second now brings his car number 1 into the pits once more.
Yeah, Djokovic into the pits again, and this, I assume, is not going to be a driver change. There's no one there to jump in. This will be Djokovic taking it to the end, I assume, at this point. Jack Keithley, though, is waiting about for the Ramada team, so I think Keithley's going to be the finishing driver here for them, and someone from his calibre to finish the race is surely good. But, shout out for Nuno Pinto here. He's done a sensational job this whole race. Really one of the star drivers of D1 and LMP1.
He's been towards the sharp end all race long. He was right up there in the podium positions very early in the race, and on merit as well. When the field had spread out, he was right up there. Hasn't quite played out quite as well as he would have liked. As Nuno now comes into the Porsche Kurz, Borja Milan currently in third position in car 17, just crosses the line. So that's the gap between those two podium positions. But as we've always said, one mistake can reshuffle the order, and these guys are just not giving up, even though there's so little time left. There's less than 2 hours now, 1 and 3/4 hours remaining as Pinto brings that car in. So
this will be Keithley coming in now then.
Yep, so he'll be handing that one over. He has done what he can in car 25. So one more change then. And it's up to then Jack Keithley, who we've seen on this very field already. We've seen how determined he is to do the best he possibly can. So he's got a bit of a gap between himself and the next car in line. James Wilson's just actually crossed the line, so he is a full lap down in car number 3. So he finds a comfortable gap to come out on, but he's still got to get the job done when it counts.
Yep, still got to get the job done, and that's what's important here. Wilson, obviously, while the Ramada cars in the pits are going to be making up a little bit of ground on them, but of course, in the long run, Keithley will still come out ahead, and Milan will be gaining time too. But we'll see if Jack Keithley can get the job done on the Monaco team throughout the rest of this race, of which there are 1 hour and 45 minutes to go, there or thereabouts. So we're getting towards that final hour, and well, it doesn't feel like 2 o'clock yesterday when this race started, but it has been. This race has been going for 22 and a bit hours now, and we're approaching, slowly but surely approaching the final hour of this race. And well, that is a scary thought in its own right, because it's such a long race, and I almost don't want it to end. Can we do another 24 hours?
I'm sure our drivers will have a few things to say about that. But, yeah, exactly as you say, Jack Keithley has taken over that car. He now is just completing the pit stop, and he will get underway 4th in class. Then Jimmy Broadbent brings in car 22 once more. Don't think there's going to be any more driver changes for that particular team. We spoke to Mr. Broadbent earlier. Dennis Lind is looking to get back on the field then for the remaining time. So it's great to see such high caliber drivers putting in a great amount of time in this very prestigious event. So let's have a look then at where people are. Yuri Kasdorp has been leading for quite a number of hours and continues to do so. Can't stress how well that team has done, starting from the very back of the field to be leading by a lap over this man, Niki Djokovic, in the car number 1 as he's coming through the Porsche and Corvette curves. 3rd is Borja Milan, just coming up to the same. So it's not a great deal of distance between Milan and Djokovic, but it is enough. Car 17 can't quite see car number 1 at the moment. Jack Keithley is just taking over that car, as previously mentioned. He's just catching up to the back of Svartenbol, but should be able to dispense of him on the Hanadier once again. James Wilson recently took over that car number 3, finds himself a lap down from Jack. Further lap back is Jimmy Broadbent. That car's been through quite a lot of torment, particularly through the night. But on they go in 22. Dowie Tapper tries he may, has not been able to close that gap down, finds himself 8 laps back at the tail of the P1 field. Joachim Stensnas leads the P2s, 8 lap ahead of Tobias Polesek. They come streaming down the Nardier. Matsis Bagus in car number 32 is 3rd in class with Nicholas Hilbrand. I did it again. Oh no, I did actually say it right. I doubted myself. I keep adding Hildebrand in there, but I actually got it right and doubted myself. In car 44, he comes through Indianapolis. Vincenzo Capella continues on his merry way. The P2s are fairly well spread out. Andrew Ford's on the same lap as Vincenzo, but quite a way back. He's streaming down the Hanadier into that second chicane. April Carlsvad on the same bit of track, but is 3 laps back from Andrew Ford and Bas Svartenbol, continuing to struggle on, and Sam McDonald bringing up the back of the P2 field, leading the GTs, and has been for quite some time in that yellow Corvette. Kasper Stolzer leads Bram Beelen, took over that Ferrari a while back. Car number 79, Alex Rautagam in the Sol Aston, pounds on Arne Schoenviet in the Corvette, on the same lap as the Aston, but quite a way back. And then 8 laps back from Schoenviet is Eric Schmeider in the Ferrari, and Sido Vajda rounds out the field. 22 cars still remain. We've lost quite a few, but still over half the field remain.
Yeah, still over half left with this amount of the race left to go, and it is very interesting to see how this is going to progress. And well, if you're a fan of track reveals, stay tuned. We got one coming up in about 10 minutes for you, so we will reveal the 7th race of the calendar at this point, and later we will be revealing the final one. We've already announced 6, remember, so far, and the 6 ones that we have in fact announced are as follows. We've announced the 1,000 miles of Indianapolis as the season opener. The 8th of October will be the first race, and then a month later it's the 6 hours of New Orleans at New Orleans, LA. Oh, English please, Josh. Nolan Motorsports Park. I was trying to give it its full name, but it's not happening. But yes, New Orleans Los Angeles Motorsport Park is here, and yeah, round 3 Sao Paulo, the 6 hours of Sao Paulo. Interlagos plays round at the 3rd round of the championship, and the 4th round is going to be at Sepang, Malaysia. The 8 hours of Sepang will be saying selamat pagi indeed to that. And round 5 at Estoril, the 6 hours of Estoril. The 5th round of the championship we go Portuguese, and the 6th round, of course, the classic 12 hours of Sebring as well. So there's your 6 rounds. We got 2 more to announce. Stay tuned, they're coming up soon.
Yeah, if you're not just staying tuned to the racing, you're quite mad, but stay tuned if nothing else for the Season 11 announcements, as the P2 leader Joachim Stesnes has brought in car number 30 for what's one of the last times, probably the penultimate time, if it's just for fuel. Oh, no.
I see Lint is there, Dennis Lint, so that'll probably be a driver swap, as is Christian Michel, so Castor will be getting another car too.
Yep, so there's tyres going on to that car as well, as Alice Bratagan brings in 81, the Aston Martin. A few more to do, but still quite a bit of racing to go.
Yeah, still quite a lot left to go in this stint and this race for the drivers, of course. An hour and 40 thereabouts is the remaining time, and it is ticking down slowly but surely, and we are approaching the end of the 24 Hours of Le Mans and the end of Season 10 of the Virtual Endurance Championship too. And yeah, we're going into our 10th anniversary next season in October, and I tell you what, it's June now. It's going to feel like an age. I'm practically going to have nothing to do with myself until October when this comes back.
It is a strange feeling when a season ends, particularly something that you've ploughed a lot of time into. As anyone in the production team will know full well, and when that season ends, it's very much a case of, okay, now what? But invariably, there's only a very short break for those behind the scenes that make the magic happen. Dennis Lin does indeed take over car number 30 and the P2 lead with a fairly comfortable gap, but still has to concentrate and get the job done. Sam McDonald comes up behind him, so on goes Mr. Lind in car number 30. But yeah, it's one of these things that's when the season's gone on for a particularly long time, it's a case of when it's over, it is quite a strange feeling. But what a momentous occasion for VEC celebrating its 10th year anniversary. What an incredible achievement that is.
Yeah, an incredible achievement, and incredible that the VEC's been going for this long. Kasdorp in to switch to Michel then, and Jakovic will gain a bit of time, but probably not lots in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, we've been going for 10 seasons now, going into our 11th, and from very humble beginnings on R Factor, the racing platform, with the old ILMS Series International du Monde mod, just still knocking about, or at least a condensed version of it, I think, knocking about on the internet somewhere, if you want to relive the past. But yeah, then we made the move to R Factor 2. We briefly had Toyotas and the like. Oh, we've lost Mateus Burgos, unfortunately, and that's fairly major, actually. The third place car, the Simtech, disconnects from the race. They'll have to get back in quickly then if you want to hold that position, otherwise it's going to go to Magenta Warriors. But as we rightly say, yes, from the good old days of R Factor 1 to the advent of R Factor 2 with Lola LMP1s, Toyotas added later, to the current iteration with the United Racing design, prototypes and GTs. You know, we've come a long way, and I'm sure in the future we'll be evolving again and adapting ourselves to become even better.
Absolutely, yeah. Christian Michel, exactly as you say, has taken over the lead car. 21 that comes back out on 30. Yeah, what a shame for Mateus Burgos, who has, currently stands as disconnected in the pit garage. Car number 33 is stationary. What a shame, third in class. That will be tragic if their race grinds to a halt in that manner, but that is the nature of racing. Difficulties can befall anybody, no matter how good you are. No one is ever bulletproof. But that is, it's always such a shame when you're in such a great position after such a long period of time. It would be a travesty for that to end in that kind of way.
It would, yeah, and to end that badly that soon. I'm sure Mateus will reconnect. He's going to be very swift about this and try and get back in, but it is sad to say that, and hopefully he gets back in soon so he loses as little time as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to be doing what he can to capitalise, but of course Nicholas Hilbrand is going to want to press on. Whether he's aware of the fact that Bogus is disconnected, we don't know. But he'll want to press on and try and capitalise on that nonetheless. He currently is heading down towards Indianapolis. Jack Keithley ahead of him has obviously put a lap on the P2 driver. And he comes then car 44. The Magenta Warrior going through Arnage. Trying to close in on. Unless, of course, Matthias Bogus is not able to reconnect, which would be a great shame if that is the case. Second in the GTEs now is 79. And now Matthias Bogus, just as I say that, has managed to reconnect to the race. Let's see if he's able to get his car back out on track. He's lost quite a bit of time, but not lost the position yet.
It shouldn't be difficult. As soon as he rejoins, he should be able to just pop back in that car and start driving again. You know, it's just going to be a case of hit the engine on, out the pits, do the lap, and I don't even think he's going to lose the position to Hillebrand, to be honest. It's taken him a little bit less than we anticipated, so Hillebrand will not gain overall position from Matthias Bogus here, but Hillebrand certainly going to close in and nail Hitley. That, I imagine, will cause concern at least for the Simtech team, because their rhythm will be broken now and they'll have to start the work all over again.
Yes, especially for the length of time that Bogus has been in that car. You really get into a rhythm after about 5 laps or so. You know, you get to know where all your new braking points in with the newly rubbered up track. You get to deal with your fuel going down and your tyres starting to where you get to really understand what your car is doing. You start to connect with it. And when it gets rudely interrupted like that, it can just jar you a little bit and take you a little bit of time to get back into that rhythm.
Yeah, you've got to get back into it somehow, and well, we'll see if Matthias can. And it seems like, at least, and he plans on it, so he is going to try and race that car as fast as it will go now, because he knows Hillebrand. He knows that he's coming up to the first Mulsanne chicane, and he knows Hillebrand is not that far behind him anymore. And if he can get this gap down in the next couple of moments of this race, the hour and a half that's left, as Bogus comes into the chicane now, Hillebrand is not that far behind anymore. He's only 15 and a bit seconds behind, and it was a heck of a lot more before that. So now I think Hillebrand can potentially taste this podium in class, and he's going to go for it.
Absolutely, and it's when you start to see the prize, when you start to realise those in front are not unassailable anymore. It's amazing how much energy, how much adrenaline that just puts into you. But he's got to keep the focus. An hour and a half just over still remains. There's still a fair bit of racing time to go. But you now start to get to the phase of the race where the drivers, particularly those that have been in the car a long time, are starting to really feel it. It's a case of counting down. Some of them will even be kind of wanting the flag to come out now. You know, just red flag it, they'll be fine. Some of them will be saying to themselves. But you'll have some that are just really struggling to maintain. Also, as I was looking at Poleszczak, as he was coming into his pit, he's very nearly overshot his pit box there. It's little things like that again will become more and more. You start to creep into the driving a little bit more, those little mistakes. But now that Hillebrand definitely has got his eyes very much set on the car. Well, the car ahead is Bram Bielen, so he'll have a look at him. But as I say, 15 seconds is not unassailable at all, as car 33 now comes through Indianapolis. And Hillebrand is just coming through the right king before it. So it's not going to be too long. If he keeps gaining like that, it's not going to be too long before Nicholas will actually start to see Matthias ahead of him.
Yeah, it won't be far until Matthias can be seen if Hillebrand keeps this catching up. In fact, the gap now, as I look at it, is going down to 14.2 seconds. So that has shaken Bogus a bit, and Hillebrand has gotten the hammer on simultaneously. So this is looking like it's going to be a spicy battle for the end. In the end, as Daway Tapper getting blue flagged in and amongst all this in the LMP1 now, as there's a car trying to overtake him. That is James Wilson, but obviously Wilson not massively faster at the moment, so trying to go through. Sam McDonald comes into the pits with Doug Henson Racing. I imagine he will stay in this car until the end now, actually. But yeah, at the moment, it is all Hillebrand in P2. And he's getting balked by Bielen in the Porsche Cares, but he manages to get round now. Nicely done, but he leaves it a bit thin there.
Yeah, that was very much throw it in and hope it sticks. But of course, now he realises that the target ahead of him is really there for the taking. He will want to push as hard as he can, and actually...
Now hold on a minute. Hold your horses. Where has oh, hang on, I just missed a timing. No, Augusta's gone back.
I was going to say
13.
he's
dropped back.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
They must not have got the lap back, or something's happened. But they've gone back and they've actually dropped laps as a result of that. They're now 13th. I don't know whether they missed a timing beam or something, but something's happened here. We'll keep an eye on it, see if they reset position. But either which way, while that's going on, we do have a track reveal for you to come up in, well, nowish actually. And, well, I tell you this is going to be an interesting one for sure. Does Neil Heatley want to do it?
Indeed, it has been a track here in the VEC for the last 4 seasons, and indeed it was the penultimate round this year, and we're going there again. We're going back to Silverstone on the 6th of April 2019 for an 8-hour race, the penultimate race of the championship, and no doubt will help ramp up to a fantastic end of season 11.
Yeah, of course, Silverstone, Britain's second best racing circuit behind Donington Park, arguably, and
Lies. Wrong. Donington Park is the wrong answer for that. You know what the right answer is, Josh.
Well, I don't think they got the lap on the rejoin. What happened with Simtech? Either they missed that out, or they've dropped massively because Andrew Ford and the Seawolves now gotten ahead, and Dan Kell obviously is changed into the Magenta Warriors car as well. There's a driver change, but now that's promoted to going to be a GT Italia at the third in amongst all this, so they're third, and now it's Magenta Warriors chasing for fourth. I thought they were chasing for third, but they're a minute and 10 behind the GT Italia team.
Yeah, that has completely changed the running order then now. I'm not sure whether that's going to be kind of argued or appealed, but that is where they currently stand. So Matthias Burgess chasing Andrew Ford, because Andrew Ford's car is just got underway. It's car 46 and then getting back on track. Dan Kell taking over, as you say, the Magenta Warriors car. And I certainly will. I certainly would argue that Silverstone is the best British racing track, but then I would say that. I'm assuming that our Scottish companion there is trying to argue for Knockhill, but I can't imagine you will fit all these cars on Knockhill, let alone actually race them.
Yeah, that is the logistical side of it. Yeah, but then again, we are doing Long Beach in VLMS, so.
Well, true.
But there is only 2 classes there as opposed to 3 and 40 cars. I imagine there'll only be about 20 to 26 cars in the VLMS race around Long Beach, so...
Yeah, Long Beach is a hell of a challenging track. That is very much America's answers to Monaco. That's one mistake is going to kill you. Not just let it run wide and then worry about it. The barriers there are very, very unforgiving. And Knockhill is hellishly bumpy, so a great track though. I'm not slating the track, but yeah, not convinced of its entry into VEC.
Yeah, well, maybe for a special event we might host one. So we haven't actually done a special event in a while here. As I say, actually, we need to convince Jimmy Nelson to do another one soon. I can't remember the last one. I think it might have actually been either the last Indy 500 or the 12 Hours of Bathurst. I don't know for sure, but we need another special event sooner rather than later. Maybe we can have a touring car race at Knockhill. That'll please Neil, and we'll have to commentate. He'll have to commentate on it.
Oh, touring cars and Knockhill, absolutely. They'll be bouncing off that middle chicane quite heavily. 1.5 hours remain. That is all that is left. Less than 90 minutes for our drivers to have to contend with. Christian Michel brings car 21 over the line to start lap 384. Djokovic, car number 1, actually comes just across the line to start lap 383, so that shows the lead that Michel has for himself. Borgi Milan is not far behind Djokovic actually, so he's just coming across the line himself, so there's not a great deal of gap between second and third in the P1 class. Jack Keithley where is he? He's just coming through the second chicane over Nadia, so he's quite some distance back from the P1 podium at the moment. But as Matthias Bogus has highlighted, anything can happen at any stage to any racer, so don't discount anybody just yet. James Wilson is just coming over the line. He's hitting the apexes pretty hard through the forged chicanes. He is pressing on. Starts lap 382. Jimmy Broadbent in that 22 Nissan presses on. He just comes through the second chicane along the Hanadier as well, with Dowie Tapper rounding up the P1 field.
Yeah, Tapper running out the field at the moment in the ACL Zach Speed car. Broadbent ahead from Wilson, and these guys really just giving it all they've got with 90 to go now. It's almost it's a football match now, effectively 90 minutes, but this isn't football, this is racing, it's better. And they know that, we know that, we all know that, and
yeah, I'm never going to argue that one.
We'll be knowing that throughout the rest of this race as well. And well, talking about special events, actually, it's got me thinking, actually, what might be a really, really good idea? What may be a really good idea is maybe a classic special event, maybe with some classic cars, because I'm looking at the official content that Studio 397 have put out, and there's a nice car called the Houston G4 that's based off the Lola T70. Might be a good idea for a classic event, a classic world sports car race.
Oh, crikey, you are talking about classic in its real world form with comparison to the Lotus, truth, but absolutely, why not? And that'll be a very good test for our drivers as well, because that, I think it's fair to say, is an extremely different car to what anything we've got on the field at the moment.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's big, torquey V8 engine, and I mean, if you want, old cars, we could go maybe even for the Brabham BT20 that we have there, the 1966 Formula 1 car. They've got a couple of other Formula 1 style cars as well. They've got the Spark and EVE cars as well, made, and I believe they're based on, well, the EV is definitely based on a Matra, but there's just so much potential for classic racing events, and well, maybe it'll happen, who knows? I'd love to see one.
That would be fabulous. Again, it's one of those kind of special events that would really resonate well with a lot of people as well. It's great to see, of course, these current cars, the Ferraris, the Corvettes, the Oricas, etc., but is every now and then there's no harm at all in breaking out where the roots of these type of racing. There is no harm in revisiting those. I would certainly be game for that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking. There's we got the BT20 from 1966. There's actually, I think, a patch on the Steam Workshop that turns the EV into a Matra. So there is actually an official car there, and Matra in the 60s cars with the wings as well as the Sparks, which are based on the Techno F2 and F3 and a sort of fictional Techno built F1. So maybe some classic F1, who knows? Maybe world sports cars, maybe classic stock cars. There's so much official content out there now that really, realistically, we could do anything classic, and maybe it'll happen. But this race has definitely been a classic either which way. Christian Michel has started lap 386 of the race and is edging ever closer to that 399 mark.
Yeah, and at the rate, exactly as we said before, he is going to blast through it. I would imagine, just looking at our field, I would imagine everyone has the potential, all the P1s at least, has the potential to get through the previous record quite comfortably. Dowie Tapper may be a little bit close, but I would think all the P1s are going to obliterate that previous milestone that's been set down. But we will see. It may sound like I'm always kind of erring on the side of caution, but so many times drivers and commentators alike get very comfortable with, oh, this will happen, and suddenly, again, coming back to Matteo Bogus's disconnection, look how that's just completely shaken the P2 field. He was a comfortable third and now finds himself in sixth in class and quite some way back.
Yeah, quite some way back indeed, but still fighting on, and that's the most important thing. It's about fighting on regardless of the circumstances, and making sure that you have to make... It's about making it count, it's just, you got to keep going regardless of the problems.
Absolutely, and that is certainly something that these drivers are very renowned for, and certainly Matteo Bogus is highlighting perfectly well. Never give up until the checker flag falls. Well, again, look at our race leader. That's another prime example. They due to start pole and due to a disconnection at the worst possible moment, then had to start from the very rear of the field. Car 21 continues on his way through Indianapolis and Arnage, absolutely unchallenged, and has been in that position for an incredible period of time. 385 racing laps complete, and well, the car looks like it's only just come out of the factory.
Yeah, it does. It looks like it's literally just been made the other day, and for all we know, it may have been. But yeah, it's fresh out of the factory and rip roaring to glorious records. And yeah, they've managed to keep it. I don't think Velas have actually had a single incident this race either. They pretty much ran the perfect race apart from that start. And the similar could be said for Monaco. Both those LMP1 cars have run pretty much perfect races.
And thus the commentary curse, and they're going to be off into the dust in the next 5 minutes.
Blast!
But yeah, absolutely, and that just again comes back to what we've said time and again about consistency, and that is what is always going to win out. Yes, you have to be quick, but consistency is far, far more important in these long races. Speaking of which, speaking of the Monaco car, in he comes. Borja Milan is bringing out third place P1 into the pits for what is going to be, I'd imagine they've got one more stop to do. It's going to be a quick splash and dash towards the end. They're not going to quite do an hour and 20 minutes.
I think it'll be 240s, to be honest. It'll be 240s rather than that. It'll be one more stop from Milan and Co. If anyone pits after the 60-minute mark, that will be the final stop, though, I think. Yeah,
absolutely. So, penultimate stop then, assuming that there's no problems that before Monaco and Borja Milan. So just seen a few more cars go through. Jack Keithley is next down the road position wise, but he's just come through Mulsanne. James Wilson has brought his car number 3 into the pits as well, a lap down from Keithley in Milan, so no particular danger for him to challenge. And there goes Borja Milan, a pretty nice straightforward stop for car 17. Out he comes then to continue on his merry way, and we could potentially see some really quick laps if they're exactly as you say. If they're going to go for 240s as opposed to a 60 and a 20, which makes far more sense, keeping the car as light as possible. They have the potential to really get some quick laps on the board, and you never know, they could start to challenge Jakovic towards the end.
Quite possibly, they could be on for the challenge indeed towards the end of this race, and giving it everything they've got to do so. And well, they will be pushing for that position as much as they can with 80 to go in this race. The end is coming closer, and yet the end is coming more exciting by the second. It's just, I think there's a battle about to brew here, and I just can't wait for it.
I think you're right, and Kasper Stolzer has brought in car number 60. There's tyres going on to that Corvette as well, so he could be in there a while. And that's more than likely going to bring Bram Bielen in that Virus Ferrari back into it. Where is he? He's actually on the. He's heading down to the Mulsanne. I beg pardon. No, he's just coming through. That's the first chicane. He was nearly a lap down, and even tyres aren't going to cause that much of a pit stop for Stolzer. But if they have another driver change lined up, that could bring the Ferrari back into the clutches of that Corvette. So that's not unassailable either.
Yeah, not unassailable, not impossible, and I think it might have a chance if things go their way. But we've got battles potentially for class positions here, and looking up and down the order, well, what do we have? We have several. To start with, I mean, Andrew Ford obviously trying to catch up to the Magenta Warriors team, though he's only got an hour and 20 to catch up 58 seconds. Closest battle, I think, at this point is probably Arne Schoenfleet for Black Hawk Racing, well, chasing the other Black Hawk car, Alex Bradagon, 35 seconds in it. It's entirely possible, but again, if anything goes wrong, people are there to capitalise.
Absolutely, and Stolzer still in the pits then for that tyre change. Not in a particular hurry to get going. Bram Bielen next in position is coming through. That's Arnage, I think he's just gone through, so still some distance between himself, and there he goes. So the Corvette now underway as Mateusz Bogas comes into the pits again in the P2 category, and out comes car number 60. And where is Bielen? He is, and he's actually in the head of a 4-car train. He's actually coming up to, I beg your pardon, he was Mulsanne who came through earlier, so it's now Indianapolis and Arnage that the Virus Ferrari car 79 is just coming through. He's got a few friends with him. Who's he got?
A few friends is certainly the correct term. Looks like almost like a traffic jam there as we're coming up towards the end of the 23rd hour. But yes, he's got a gaggle of cars behind him, one of them being the Ajira number 99. Then a couple of prototypes coming through. James Wilson, that number 3 DHR, and that was the number 44 Magenta Warriors Racing cars with Dan Kell at the wheel.
Yeah, it looked like James Wilson was actually beginning to push that LMP2 for a while, but car number 3 does make his way through that particular field of cars. He's got another, that's Vijay ahead of him, but he now has to navigate as well. So, and he just caught that Ferrari at the worst possible moment at the end of the Corvette curves. There he goes then. Dan Kell is right there and successfully navigates the Ferrari as well. So these guys still have got to work their way through the traffic. They can't let the concentration fade. Their brain is saying, for God's sake, I need sleep. But these guys are still pressing on and still have a fair bit of work to do.
Yes, again, the Porsche car is one of those one-line sections of tracks. It's so fast. These LMP1 cars, when being unhindered by traffic, are reaching 280 kilometers an hour through there, and there's really nothing you can do to pass LMP2s or indeed GT cars until you reach the right-hander at the bottom of the hill. Then the prototypes need to go around the outside of the GT traffic down there onto the marbles, which can be very, very treacherous.
Yeah, you've got to have the confidence in your car to grip. These guys have been, obviously, when you're racing against people for this length of time, you have confidence in those, or lack of confidence in others. You know what the people that you are about to pass are likely to do, but it's more confidence in your own car. It's knowing what your vehicle is about to do in certain circumstances, particularly, as you say, when you go into the marbles, when you go offline. That's when you need to have if you're uncomfortable in the car, if it's starting to misbehave, it's those sort of things you don't do, and you start to lose potentially much more time being stuck behind someone you wouldn't normally be stuck behind. And things like that can really reshuffle the order as well.
Yeah, it's something, as you were pointing out there with the grip that these prototypes have. This is probably a problem why I'm not that good at prototypes, or at least I don't feel confident in prototypes, is that for the vast majority of it, you just need to believe the car is going to grip. You just need to believe that the aero is going to be there as you go around the high-speed corners, and the same goes for high-speed formula cars as well. And I just can't do that. I just can't believe. I just don't have the faith in the car.
I mean, when you're watching, particularly when, as I've mentioned this before, coming through like the Porsche curves and the Corvette curves, I'm still astounded, even at this late stage, with less than an hour and a quarter to go, how quickly the LMP1s, particularly, can just throw the car in. That defies logic, that they can just literally launch the car into these positions and they still stick. But that's, of course, that can lead to complacency if they throw the car too hard, or there isn't enough grip left in the tyres. That's when it gets very messy, when they're coming through there at 150 miles an hour and suddenly the car just doesn't want to stick anymore, and off into the barriers they go.
Get off into the barriers you go. You always have faith in the downforce until it's not there anymore.
Yeah.
To be honest. You feel like it's going to stick and stick and stick until it doesn't. And that's really the case of all racing. But it is still James Wilson in that 5th place in that number 3 DHR car. 3 minutes and 10 behind Jack Keithley, number 25 Ramada Motorsports car. But yes, that gap between Duck Henson Racing and GNS has come down quite a bit now. It's down to 1 minute and 11. Yeah,
we have a few more pit stops going on. Vincenzo Capella is in car number 40. Sam McDonald has brought his car in as well. So I can't imagine there's no drivers looking to jump in either. So that is, and out comes Capella. So on he goes then, on his merry way in car number 40. So we'll see if he is able to do anything from there. But with 3 laps between himself and Plastic, that much is very much just settling back into a rhythm. Not a massive distance between Capella and Dan Kell, though, in the Magenta Warriors car. As Kell has just crossed the line, that's not an unassailable gap. Andrew Ford, though, is quite a way off the back of Dan Kell. So that that position could remain as it is until the flag then. As it's 1 hour 12 still to go. Car 21, Michel rather, looks to continue the winning ways and bring home the flag.
They're trying to bring home the flag. There is still an hour and 12 minutes in the race, as you said, Chris. But anything can happen in endurance racing. The closest battle that we have on track at the moment is that one between Vincenzo Capella and Dan Kell for the final podium position in LMP2. Dan Kell in the 44 Magenta Wars racing car trying to hunt down the number 40 Scuderia GT Italia.
Yeah, Capella streaming on down to that second chicane on the 98. And Dan Kell just gone through the first one, so that highlights the actual distance between the two. Still a fair way. Dan Kell won't be able to see Capella's car just yet, but it's not an impossible distance. And again, this is where perseverance really does pay off. You never give up. You just don't know what problems anyone else could potentially face. As Michel now looks to complete lap 390. And there he is, just crossing the line. That lap record's getting ever closer. Not that they particularly think about that. They're of course just thinking more about controlling the car, hitting the markers. But these little caveats, they're still targets of the drivers. And Michel is going to be the first to break that lap record.
Yes, these little battles that you have with yourself and your car and of course against the clock. The first one is going to be that 400th lap, which no doubt Christian Michel will break. Another one, especially at this point in the race, just towards the end, you may not want to risk it, but maybe trying to beat your car's best lap time as well, just give you a little bit of a bragging right over your teammates.
Yeah, absolutely. If you've got the performance still on the car, and if the grip is there, you've got the track position. Although Christian Michel is chasing down, I think another. Yeah, he's got a gaggle of 3 ahead of him, so he certainly wouldn't want to be trying that right now. So he's closing in pretty quickly on that's Korsman, Lindt and Weiser that all coming up to. Lindt is the lead of the LMP2 category, and Weiser is Cedar Weiser is the tail of the GTs. So it's not gone well for that last Ferrari. As there is April Korsvold directly ahead of our race leader as well. A couple more pit stops are going on. Dowie Tapper is in along with Baz Svartenbal. So still, and we've got some more driver changes coming up as well. So the final pit stops then for our teams are beginning to take place.
And as we come in towards the final hour, rejoining us, we have the Division 2 race director Bernd Schmidt.
Yeah, hello Neil, and I came with big drama news from Division 2. Then the championship in LMP2 had to be decided, but now RGPL got a disconnect, and it seems to be the driver isn't able to rejoin into the car, which means they have to DNF the car, and that could bring back the championship maybe down to race clutch. So lots of drama in the LMP2 standings. Meanwhile, the LMP1 standings should be fine because Team Virus is leading with a gap of 6 laps to the car behind, which means they should have the championship safe for them. And in the GTs, it's also a bit of a battle. Raging Racing doing a great job during the race here, in second position actually. They are also leading the championship, and Core Team had some trouble, so the GT championship should be fine as long as the Raging Racing car don't get into trouble. But it would be a really interesting story which will be written today in the LMP2 championship.
Yeah, very interesting stories being ready to be written here today, and well, we've had some fantastic racing throughout all our divisions, haven't we, Ben? And well, as we enter the preamble to the final hour, how's it been for you? How impressive has this race been, and will you be sad that we're going to be stopping for a few months?
I have to say the race was really interesting till the night, which was also the reason why I got some hours of sleep for myself. Unfortunately, well, hours at sleep, 4 cars had to DNF, so there has been a bit of trouble. But anyway, it was really clean racing in Division 2. We had overall 4 Code 80s, which is really impressive. All drivers have done a really great job today in Division 2. Also, I've seen in Division 1 and followed a bit in Division 3, so it was all really great. And yeah, for sure, as I said, it's the last race of the season, for sure. I'm a bit sad that it's come to its end, but also season 11 is right there to start in a few months. And I think for all of us it's great to also have a bit of a break to get some power back and be ready then for season 11.
Yeah, indeed, and I'm sure we're all looking forward to that 11th season. And well, I would just like to thank Ben Schmidt in and amongst all this for race directing Division 2. We really couldn't have that division without you, Ben, and you do such a fantastic job of it, so we would just like to say thank you.
Thank you very much, Neil, and at this point also you can say the whole commentary team of the 24-hour broadcast today has done a really brilliant job. I really enjoyed it to follow the stream the whole time, listen to all the voices. So massive shout out to you guys for this brilliant job today, and also Josh and Neil for the whole season. You have done again a really great job here in the comment booth, in RC, and also in VMS, as I said a few weeks ago.
Well, thank you very much, Ben, and thank you as well for joining us and race directing for us. It has been a pleasure. We'll let you get back to race directing this near final hour of the race, and well, good luck to you for it, and thank you once again.
Thank you, Josh, and good luck to all teams and drivers for the last hour, and with Sean maybe at the end again for getting the results in. Have a great one, have a great last hour of the season.
You too, Ben. Thank you for that. And yes, we move ever closer towards the final hour of the race. We have 66 minutes to go now, and it's really getting quite heated in some classes. Adam Taylor, 13.5 away from Boha Milan in the LMP1s. Anna Schoenfried going for GT honours as well, and Dan Kell shooting down Capella. Who will get it?
A lot still going on. Jack Keithley's just brought his car in. Jimmy Broadbent brings in car 22 once more. So borderline whether they're going to bring their cars in again. So just over the hour remaining. So they may have to do another splash and dash. Depends on what strategy they're running. Keithley's been sat there a while. There were a few driver changes whilst we were talking. Gare Peters has taken over, I think it's 41 in the LMP2 category. Chris Michel has just come past, and Nuno Pinto returns for the final hour. He's just taken over the 4th place car, and out he comes then. Car 25 returns to the hands of Nuno Pinto. And yeah, now is going to be the time for everybody to dig deep, find that last bit of energy, that last bit of strength, any bit of concentration they can find. Now is the time to get it out of the systems and onto the track.
Yeah, here we go then. Really is the dig deep moment. We are approaching the mythical hour itself, and sooner rather than later we're going to have an interesting end to this race. The clouds are rolling in, but we're not expecting any rain, so they'll be able to focus on this racing for the final hour, getting to the end, celebrating afterwards, and really just having the race of their life after the end of this. And well, Neil Hitley, it is going to be a sensational last hour for sure.
It always is here at Le Mans, and indeed it always is in all of the VEC races that we have here at SRC. The final hour is always most exciting when we've got a couple of positions, well, in fact, quite a few positions that are yet to be decided. The main one towards the front of the field is for that second place between Wanako and Team Fires. Currently Wanako lead Fires by about 14 seconds. In LMP2s you've also got Scuderia GT Italia, that number 40 car, trying to hold on to that final podium step over the 44 Magenta Warriors Racing.
Yeah, Magenta car really pushing hard as well. Dan Kell trying to catch up to the GT Italia and take the position there. Alan Taylor trying to catch up to Boha Milan and resume second. Battles up and down the field, and the attrition rate has been quite high. Out of the 34 starters, only 22 are still running. Your list of retirements, of course, being the 7th 77 car with a fuel failure, as in they didn't put enough in. And then the 24 car, alas, Vero driving at the time, the 6 Blackhawk is out. The 7 car, the RGPL is out also, Vacha Palesny was driving, and then Team Spirit car out as well, the 45, as is the 88 Skidaway GT Italia, the sole BMW, then as Valdo Cocosa 2 and the 73 Ajira, the 69 Musto car out as well after a quad downshift. Going into the night, the 51 Sim Racing for Holland car out, as is the 43 3 wide, the 31 Flatline, the 71 Talking Door, and the 76 Caspian car. But yes, out of those 22 cars still remaining, and one of them is about on their 392 lap, and they're about to start lap 393 in a couple of minutes.
That is true. We haven't had any retirements actually for quite some time. The last one being on lap 235. We are on lap 392 now. So the guys that are remaining have kept it pretty clean. As the last major incident we had was car number, I think it was the car being piloted by James Johnson, car 14, when he had that unfortunate incident. And I think it was actually Johnson that put that one in the wall at Indianapolis. That's the last major incident we've had. So again, comes back to the consistency point that we've mentioned quite a few times already. And there is our race leader, Christian Michel, finishing lap 392 in car 21. That record is getting closer and closer.
It is, yes, it's short of a disaster. I can't see anyone not breaking it in LMP1 at this point, and I did the maths a couple of minutes ago. We should actually be 300 and... Sorry, we're thinking actually it's going to be 409 or 410, so we've gone up a bit, and they will be going for that record in this race. So that's going to be a lot of laps completed by these guys at the end of it, and Velo Simsport will be able to take that honour home of setting the most laps of anyone. Dennis Lind pits in the Naito Velux car. We're projecting about 380 for that, so not that far off the 397 either. So yeah, they come in, Dennis Lind comes in. I imagine he'll be taking it to the end from here, and will just be focusing on getting himself in the grammatical end point of this race. I don't know why I said grammatical there, but he will just be, he'll be Oxford covering his way to the victory in LMP1, that much is for sure. Jimmy Broadbent crosses the line to start lap 391-2, or 390 rather, and he finds himself in such a position that he may too cross the line worth more than 397 laps in the end of this race. But ultimately, this is what matters now. We are now about to enter the vital portion of this race. The final hour of the race. L'heure de puissance has arrived. Yes, it's the hour of power, ladies and gentlemen. Get your beers and popcorn, because they've got 60 minutes to go. And now it's on for the positions we were mentioning before. But most importantly, 60 minutes and counting till the end of the Le Mans. We have less than an hour to go.
I'm looking at the lap times actually from Christian Michel, and his consistency has just been mind-blowing. From the last pit stop, which was on lap 382, there's been 3:25, 27, 23, 22, 24, 23, 22, 23, 25, 23. Bearing in mind, that's over 3 minutes worth of laps. That's insane how consistent, how quick, of course, he's been able to keep that car on the black stuff. Absolutely mind-blowing. Absolutely top props to you, sir.
Yeah, props to him for that consistency, and well, I tell you this, through this last hour, if they can keep that consistency up, they'll do well for it, because, well, the last hour is always the most difficult. We talk about the night being difficult, but the last hour is almost the most difficult, because you can sense at the end, you just want to get complacent, but you can't get complacent, because if you get complacent, you go off. That's the long and short of it.
That's exactly it. As soon as you drop the guard, that's it. The barrier is waiting to greet you, and they will... Yeah, the barrier will enjoy that trip far more than your car will.
Yeah, and well, any trip to the barriers in this last hour could cost serious time and position. You think you've got something in the bag, and then all of a sudden you don't. And well, speaking of things in the bag, we'll be putting the season reveal in the bag in about half an hour's time. Stick around for that, of course. We'll be announcing the final round of the season, and well, we'll see what that is when it comes around. But Christian Michel at least just wants to come around to start lap 394 now. He is really edging closer to this record, and well, it was a given ever since we pretty much hit the few hours to go mark that short of a disaster they were going to break this record, but it's becoming apparent as we recalculate the 410 laps just how much by.
Unbelievable. The last two laps, so the last two that Christian Michel's just completed, are both within 200ths of a second.
Christ!
You can't get over a 3.5 minute, well, less than a 3.5 minute lap within 200ths of a second. Yeah, you can't beat that.
Yeah, I mean, let's just, as we said, his last laps, you know, they've been 3:23.164, 3:23.148, 3:23, with the exception of 3:25, but 3:23.6, 3:22.6, 3:23.1, 3:24.4, there's another erroneous one. Apart from every other lap, he's putting in consistent 3:22s and 3:23s. The man's an absolute machine.
That is absolutely incredible, and that is why that car currently resides at the top of the list by a clear lap at very least. Roger Milan coming through the Ford curbs to start lap 393, and that just goes, that's a lap and a half near enough. Where's Christian Michel? He's coming down towards the Mulsanne, so that is
So I think this is the second chicane he's coming up to now as well.
oh, beg pardon, yep, so it is. So that's a good lap and a third, I would say, in pocket. So that would make it, well, that's about 5 minutes worth of time that Christian Michel has in his pocket.
Well, it's, you know, if there's an accident, it's not much, but for the most part, then it's good to see that he is so far ahead for him, because, you know, he can avoid, you know, a spin won't cost him the lead now. But, you know, it's always good to see that, you know, they're still powering on, and Michel is just absolutely Iron Manning this at the moment. I'm sure his team are cheering him on in this last hour too, as well, we approach the 55 minutes to go mark, and it's always the last hour that goes the quickest.
Yeah, absolutely. He's so Christian Michel is catching up to, now that is Casper Stolzer, who leads the GTE field, and just ahead of him is Nino Pinto. So Michel is going to be putting another lap on anyone outside the podium. Is at least 2 laps down. That is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, that is brilliant. I mean, yeah, pretty much what the forward LMP1 is, anything short of that is 2 or more laps down. Everyone is a lap down with the exception of Michel. Really has rockets into this. Milan, though, and Taylor are going to still be potentially fighting each other if there's a trip up, because there's only about 15 seconds there. Pinto is still a little bit behind Taylor, but on the same lap as those two. So yeah, they're still close, and there are still contentious battles going on. Kel's still trying to catch up with Capella and that, so keep an eye on that too.
Indeed, Capella has just started lap 364. And Kel's come into the pits along with, who's that in front of him? Oh, Sam McDonald is coming as well. So, well, that was a shame. That rather put a spanner in the works of that potential battle going on. Andrew Ford is the next one down the road for P2, but he finds himself stuck behind Guy Peters. Race leader Christian Michel, car 21 has come in.
Oh, a bit of a, Michel in. Bit of a spin for Andrew Ford, though. I think just suffering the signs of fatigue coming out of Arnage. I see Eric Vestron waiting, so there's probably going to be a driver switch there for Andrew Ford. But yeah, Michel in. No driver swap planned here, I assume, to splash a fuel. This will be the final stop. Taylor seems to be closing in on Milan, though. Coming out of Arnage is Taylor now, and Milan approaching the Porsche curves. There's not much in it.
No, indeed. So that battle is very much pending, because Milan has just gone through a couple of cars. He's gone through the red Aston car 81 as well. There's somebody else in that mixture, so Taylor has that to clear as he comes into the Porsche curves. As I mentioned before, and I still just love watching those P1s, how fast they can go through the Porsche and Corvette curves respectively. They just, it looks like they're on rails, because I'm sure the drivers would have other things to say. Sam McDonald has brought his car in as well. So still a few pit stops to do, but with only 52 minutes to go, there's everyone is just going to be winding down. Then Andrew Ford, exactly as you say, brings in car 46. His time may well be done on that one. April Carswell brings in 32 as well from, what's that, 8th in class. So still pit stops to do, there's still racing to do, but the timer is running down.
It is 53 minutes to go now. I assume Carlsbad will be until the end as well. Politec 2 as he comes in for one Echo. The second place as current second place is at least in LMP2 and won't be caught by Capella yet, but there is definitely still battling going on here. Taylor versus Milan is wanting to watch as Milan just starting the Mulsanne. Taylor coming out of the final corner, so they probably will be coming into Taylor's sight soon actually. And if this pace keeps up, it is Dan Kell as well, closing in on Capella, or trying to at least, but there's still quite a way between them. And of course we have that ongoing saga in the GT category too. But yes, Taylor Milan, probably the closest battle right now at least. Definitely one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, absolutely. And the longer into the race we go, the more fatigue is going to play a part. As Andrew Ford rather described, he has swapped over to Eric Vestrom. Out he comes then, 12th overall, 5th in class. He's got a bit of a gap to Matthias Bogus. Oh, actually, no, Matthias Bogus has just gone past him. So car 33 has just taken that 12th spot, of course, with that disconnect that Bogus has had. That's dropped him down the order from a podium spot in the P2 class. Tobias Polesiak has now just got underway. Second in class, then Dennis Lind comfortably leads the way in P2. Actually, Vicente Capella is on a different lap again, but yeah, so it's looking like Dan Kell and Bogus and Vestrom are going to be in a battle for honours in the P2 class.
Yeah, it looks like Vestrom and Bogus are going to go at it if Vestrom can catch up, and a very impressive driver indeed, Mr. Vestrom. We'll see what Eric can do, as well as what Adam Taylor can do on Borja Milan. Gap about 12 seconds when I last counted it myself. I'm having another count now to make sure that my counting is correct. In fact, it was about 12 seconds, and it appears to be about 13 this time around, so a little bit of time lost there, but Taylor's still trying to hunt him down.
Yeah, car number 1 is not giving up on that one at all. Heading into Arnage, he had Sam McDonald to navigate, so always the back markers playing a part in where the P1s are fighting for. Still looking at a podium position though. Nuno Pinto is quite some way back from Adam Taylor, so he won't be challenging just yet, but one trip into the wall, one bag argument with the barriers. I've said it many times before, it's going to take a big old chunk out of your time no matter where you are.
Yeah, you can always have an incident with the barriers. You can always have an argument with the barriers, but the thing is, the barrier will always win.
Unless it's one of those safer barriers, in which case it just crumples under the weight of your automobile.
Or a Volvo 850.
Yeah, I mean, but then again, those barriers are supposed to do that, aren't they? So
yeah, I'm sure the drivers are still going to try and avoid them as best they can.
yeah, because we don't want to be hitting barriers regardless of how much damage they'll do, really, because then that means you're off track, and being off track's not good, because you might get a track cut violation if you gain time from it. And, well, that means potential penalties if you keep it up because of the way that the systems work in R-Factor 2. But either which way, Adam Taylor's going to be using all of the track possible to catch Borja Milan, and I think he is gaining a little bit here, bit by bit at least.
Yeah, it's, as we said before, now's the time to dig deep, find any last bit of energy you've got and get it through your right foot. Of course, you've got to keep the focus there. No good just flooring it if you're going to miss your braking points. Adam Taylor now wants to try and close in on Borja Milan because the favour is with Borja at the moment. He doesn't have to do anything too silly. It's still a sensible enough gap, but if he loses too much time, he knows Adam Taylor is going to be right on his case. Car number 1 chasing down 17 with everything he's got left.
He will be giving it everything he's got until the very end of this race, and he will be throwing that virus around like it means nothing but the victory to him. He can't gain the victory, of course, at this rate because Michel leads by a whole lap over him, but ultimately he'll be going for second in the end and thrashing that car to its ultimate limits and giving it everything it has to try and catch up to Milan. They won second place at the minimum. They scored it last year. Will they get it this year?
Oh, wow. Adam Taylor pushing beyond the limit a little bit there. Like, his car just sliding around through that second chicane. He was very much trying to find where the traction was. And, yeah, that could have cost him a little bit of time there. But on he pushes nonetheless. He has not given up on that potential second. He is a man on a mission at the moment. And Poleszczak is coming to the pit again. Car number 37 in second in the P2 field.
Yeah, Poleszczak coming through. I don't know whether he's stopped yet. This may be a drive-through for a potential infraction of track limits, and I'll just check to see if he came straight through or he stopped. It seems from the amount of time delay he just came straight through.
Yeah.
So it's a drive-through for Poleszczak there. Had to serve that, and he's come out again. That's going to cost him some time to Capella, in fact. Well, Capella's 2 laps down.
Yeah, Capella's 2 laps down, yeah.
Capella is 2 laps down, but, and this is a big but, he is going to still lose time to Lind. So, you know, that's not going to hurt them too much, but it's going to be a grievance.
Yeah, it's one of these things that exactly as we were talking about before. You get into rhythm, you get into your mindset, and if something upsets that rhythm, that really can kind of snap you out of it and kind of force you to focus. But it can also make you overthink what you're doing. And so these guys again. So Poleszczak has just got to calm down, keep the car within its limits, which again will keep coming back to fatigue. It's so hard to do when the brain just wants to shut down. The brain's had enough. The body is dead. But you just got to find anything you can to keep that car on the black stuff. And this is where I suspect we may see a few more penalties served.
Yeah, a few more if there's going to be any penalties get served now, as the drivers just enter that sort of drowsy phase at the end of the race where they've been up for ages and try to keep going. I tell you what, someone who's been up for ages is our race director, Jimmy Allison, and he's been up for pretty much 31 hours now and race directing this race. That takes serious dedication, and, you know, after this I'm sure he'll be having a big long sleep.
I wouldn't blame the man at all. That is incredible dedication to the Division 1 race, for which, again, I'll come back to thanking the guys that are behind the scenes. You know, the guys at the top, the race directors, everyone in the commentary team. It's amazing how much organisation, how much manpower, how much time it takes to plan, let alone run a single event, let alone an endurance series. So hats off to them. Without them, this series literally wouldn't be here.
Yeah, literally would not be here ultimately if it wasn't for the likes of Jimmy Allison, who keep us going ultimately in the grand scheme of things. And yeah, this one is going to be the big one in the end. And we'll see exactly what goes on. And speaking of going on, guess what lap Michel's on now? 397.
Yeah, I spotted that as well. He's got some way to go before he completes that one. Where's he coming out to? He's up to the Mulsanne hairpin now. Car 21 with 43 minutes still on the clock. Or at this particular point, he will blast that lap record, forcing a rename of the studio. We all heard it.
Yeah, I mean, Marcel Offerman's he's got it now with this. I mean, 399's fair enough. It's only a couple of laps, but 408, it's just that's grounds for it.
Yeah. Borja Milan continues on his way. Adam Taylor still trying to chase the prize. Bram Beelen, car 79, second in the GT field, has come in for a scheduled stop. Then probably the last one that Ferrari has to look at. No driver change. No drivers lined up to jump in that I can see. Kasper Stolzer in the Corvette continues on his merry way. They may be on the same lap, but Beelen, of course, will find himself at least half a lap down from the yellow Corvette. And away goes car 79. A quick fuel stop for him. That is probably going to be the last time we see him in the pits.
Yeah, probably the last time we'll see them there. And yeah, indeed, we will see them pit for the last time, as I think most drivers will be pitting for the last time now if they've not already done so. This will be the last stop before the sprint to the finish.
Here comes Christian Michel to complete that all-important 397. And what a surprise, he hasn't thrown it into the dust. A new record. History is being written When
Again.
he still has again, yeah.
Again.
Still 42 minutes or just under of racing to go, so that record is going to be pushed quite a fair way.
Yeah, we're still 44 to go, and we're already past 397. So yeah, this is going to be a historic moment for Vela Sim Sport. They'll be able to put that feather in their cap. Not only have they won 2 years in a row, they've broken the Le Mans record 2 years in a row, and they are literally next year. What it is, they're going to do 450 laps by inventing a spacecraft.
Yep, they're going to add another turbo unit to their car, and why not?
Why not go for the outright speed record? Well, then it's only 253 miles an hour.
Well, go for the sound barrier, you know, why hold yourselves back? You know, just why not? The Hanadier is long enough. So on goes Michel then, on his merry way with several more laps still to go in car 21. Borja Milan on the Hanadier as well, as is Adam Taylor. So the top three are on the same bit of track, but of course only two of them share the same lap number. Borja Milan and Adam Taylor on that 397 as well. Nuno Pinto, where is he? He's coming through. He's gone through Indianapolis. So quite a way off the top. Quite a way off the back of the podium three, but pressing on nonetheless. That's Vestrom that he is just catching up to. Lead of the P2s has been with Dennis Lent. Has been with that car for quite a long time now. Car number 30 leading the way in the P2s with Tobias Polaszczak, who we saw earlier solved that drive-through penalty. But continues on his way nonetheless with Vincenzo Cabella actually right behind him on track, but 2 laps separating the two. And the GT field has been led. We saw Kasper Stolzer make the pass on the Virus Ferrari earlier on. And on he goes in, continuing. Car number 60 leads the GT field. Bram Bielen with that pit stop we saw him do. There is race leader coming up to second place in the GT field. Over goes the Ferrari to lead him through. And with Arne Schumbliet in the Corvette. So only 2 marks in the top of the GT field now. And you can see that Corvette of Schumbliet really struggling to get through the Corvette curves now. So, and just as I say that, he comes in.
Yeah, Sean Flick comes in. This must be a tyre stop, if anything, or a fuel stop or something. This will be the last one from that number 99 Ajira car, though, as we approach the 1400 minute mark, meaning we have exactly 40 minutes to go as the 1400 of Le Mans go, the 40 of Le Mans begin. And yeah, Sean Flick comes in and no tyres actually, it's just fuel for him.
Yep, so just pushed it a little bit too hard coming through the Corvette curves, which again, so easy to do. And something we mentioned earlier, if you're on your own, you don't have that kind of mobile reference of somebody nearby to kind of help you get the braking point right. So it's very easy to overshoot the corner. And that's exactly what we saw the Corvette do. Race leader Christian Michel completes lap 398. The record will continue to rise. That all impressive 400 is getting ever closer. Borja Milan from second is in. Car 17 has come into the pits. That will hand second place back to car number 1, Adam Taylor.
Yeah, but they may have another stop to go. We don't know yet. But if they do, that will give it back to Monaco as a result. But it's going to be a real sprint for the finish for both these teams. Now, Milan will want this to be as quick a stop as possible in order to try and preserve the position. And he knows that this will just be a splash of fuel, just enough to get him to the end. And yeah, he will be making a quick stop out of this possibly, and going for the end of this race as soon as he possibly can. Will Milan. Wilson in 2 for Doug Henson Racing. Final stop for the 3 car as well. I see no drivers waiting, so this will be Wilson finishing the race, and he will just be hoping for the quickest stop possible. Milan exits now. Wilson enters his pit box at the same time, and no tyres of course. It is just a splash and dash.
Taylor is on the Nardier then. He hasn't got to the first chicane yet. He's got Schumbliet in that bright colour Corvette already ahead of him. Oh, and he's actually going to catch that Corvette right in the middle of that chicane as well. That's going to cost Adam Taylor valuable seconds trying to get past him, which of course he does. But he was trying his best to really press on and make up the time to Porsche Milan, and that is going to undo that, unfortunately. Car number 1, unless he's going to try and get to the end, which I doubt he's going to be able to do. Surely Adam Taylor has to bring that car in one more time. Porsche Milan does not have that problem. He's just got past Dan Kell, so 4th place in the P2 category at the moment. And on goes car number 17. And of course, Pinto pressing on, all on his own there in 4th. Just coming through the Corvette curves. Been a bit of a mixture for them. They were so really pressing on for the podium positions early on, but that's the nature of endurance racing. You can't always have it your own way. So it's up to others to capitalise on it.
Yeah, indeed, and there's always going to be someone to capitalise on any problems, and that's the thing, you've got to stay alert during this last race, because it's then when the changes can happen if you don't stay alert, and it is a difficult last one this last hour. Matthias Bunges comes into the pit, meanwhile Eric Wistrom goes ahead, and after that disconnect and loss of lap for the Simtek team, it's been a bit of an uphill struggle since, looking like they are going to finish 6th in the end, and well, a shame for the team that were running 3rd up until a point, and this will just be a splash of fuel and run till the end for them. Last stop for the Simtek outfit as Christian Michel, coming through the Porsche curves now, prepares to start the 400th lap. He will complete lap 399, and he'll have about 3.5 minutes until he makes history.
Indeed. So through the Corvette curves once again. That Stallion has been pretty impressive. Car number 21, as we've just seen, Vincenzo Capella also come in from 3rd in the P2 class. There it is, lap number 400 has just begun, and on he goes then.
All he has to do is get around this and he can retire, because he'll have made history.
Yeah.
Former world champion will have made history, because he was part of the winning squadron back in season 7 TXL Racing, which then disbanded partway through the same season, I believe, and that's when he joined Vela Sim Sports. So Michel knows how to win a championship, and he knows how to win Le Mans, and now he's going to learn how to make history too. Definitely one of the best in VEC history.
Absolutely, and you know, what a stage to make a mark as well by setting such an incredible precedent. Adam Taylor on lap 399. Porsche Milan just about to start the same. So, as predicted, our P1s are getting into that same kind of record-breaking place. We'll see how many of them actually get through. I think James Johnson's probably the only one's going to be a little bit touch and go as to whether he actually hits the 400 mark. But yeah, what an incredible showing. Amazing pace, amazing consistency, as we have said time and again, as Christian Michel is catching the back of Pleschek. Dan Kell has gone through into 3rd place in class in car 44. Capella now coming out of the pit, so those two not too far apart either. They look set to have a scrap before the flag falls.
Yeah, they want to go to battle before the lap ends and the race ends, and they absolutely want to go for it. But the question is, will they get to go for it? That's the question. But really, we want to see this happen, because we all love battles and struggles and scraps and events occurring in our racing. And, well, I have to say, it has been a glorious race so far, and it's going to continue to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at Michel, dispatch of Pleschek. Somebody in the background there overshot Molzan a little bit. I can't quite tell who that was. Unfortunately, it just seems nothing can derail. I've now done it myself. Commentator curse incoming, car 21. It does seem absolutely nothing but themselves can derail that incredible car at the moment. Coming through, Arnage.
It seems like no curve of any speed will derail the locomotive that is car 21 at the moment. They're powering on forwards at the speed that is needed for these guys, and well, they're doing a brilliant job of it. Everyone else must just feel like they're being towed along by the big heavy car 21 that's pulling them through the race now. They are the centre point of our attention, because, ladies and gentlemen, they come through the Porsche curves now, and Christian Michel, he's done a lot of things in his life. He's raced for various teams. He's won championships in VEC. but he finds himself about to make a little bit of history here as we come round the final couple of corners through Corvette and into the Ford chicanes. No one in the history of the known universe has ever completed in a 24-hour race 400 laps of Le Mans. Well, that statement is no longer true. Christian Michel completes lap 400 and we are history makers once again in the Virtual Endurance Championship. And we still have 34 minutes to go. But 400 laps of Le Mans have been completed, and as far as we know, physics itself may start to deteriorate now because we're in unknown territory.
Yeah, that's it. He's going to start going backwards in time and start the race once again from the back of the field.
And, well, I think on that note, it's about time we reveal the final track of Season 11. The calendar, of course, if you've just joined us, you've missed a brilliant race. But we have already announced 7 of our 8 rounds of the championship, those being the 1,000 miles of Indianapolis, the 6 hours of New Orleans, the 6 hours of Sao Paulo, the 8 hours of Sepang, the 6 hours of Estoril, the 12 hours of Sebring, and the 8 hours of Silverstone. And, well, this last race, ladies and gentlemen, it is an absolute blinder. There's no other way to put it. It is, of course, the 24 hours of Spa-Francorchamps 1966. Oh, snap, sorry, did I say Spa? I meant Le Mans. Le Mans, that's what I meant.
No, we'll take your first answer. It's Spa.
First answer.
Yeah. What else could it be? It had to be, especially with such an incredible, I mean, look where the bar has been raised to. I mean, that bar has to be aimed for, and what better way to see out the season by pounding the Circuit de la Sarthe once again.
Yeah, back to La Sarthe on the 1st to 2nd of June of 2019. That will be a brilliant one. A great way to round out the next season once it's done. And, well, I tell you this, Le Mans, it had to be Le Mans, didn't it? Was it going to be anything else other than Le Mans? No, it wasn't really. I mean, we can joke about Spa 66 because it's official content, but Le Mans, you can't not have Le Mans in the VEC. Everyone would just go on strike if we didn't.
Yeah, I think you would have a riot on your hands if that was the case. Dan Kell has brought his car in at hands. 3rd in class back over to Vincenzo Capella. James Johnson brings in his car as well for the final time. No driver swaps are waiting in the wings either. So then 30 minutes remain here at Le Mans. History has been made already, and it is due to continually be rewritten with each passing lap, each passing minute. Only 30 minutes to go, exactly as you said earlier, Josh. It doesn't feel like 23 and a half hours ago that the green flag fell. But that is where we find ourselves now as we face just half an hour of this amazing event.
Yeah, just about to take over to that 30-minute marker, and ultimately that is when it will all come to an end, and unfortunately so, but it has been a historic Le Mans, it has been a sensational Le Mans, it has been the greatest race in VEC history. I don't think anyone can take that away from us now. We have had the greatest race in VEC history, possibly even sim racing or esports history, maybe even that, who knows, but right now at least it's definitely our best race, our finest hour, our magnum opus, and I'm sure from here on in it can only get better as well.
Absolutely. So one place I'm still keeping an eye is Adam Taylor. We saw Borja Milan come in the pits a few laps ago, and still car number 1 has not gone in the pits though. So Adam Taylor seems to really be stringing this one out. He's either trying to string out so that he doesn't come in the pits again, because we haven't been following exactly when they came in the pits, or slightly squirrely through Dunlop there for car number 1. That would be the main aim. He does not want to come in again and hand over that second position back to Borja Milan. But if that is the case, he's going to have to do some... I would imagine he'll have to do some fuel saving. I don't think he was that far off Borja Milan's pit strategy either, as the third place car now comes through the Ford chicanes. Car 17 has got nothing to lose. Well, it has third place to lose essentially, but it's got a... He can just deploy all the horses and all the energy they've got left. Adam Taylor does have to be careful with what he does. Bit of a fair amount of gap though, as Adam Taylor comes into the first chicane just as Borja Milan comes through the Dunlop chicane. So there is a bit of gap there. It's going to be interesting to see if Adam Taylor can string that out to the flag.
Yeah, if Taylor can string this out, then we'll find out for sure if he can certainly get the gap extended to Milan, see if they can take second after all. But, you know, these are really tight battles we're having at the moment between some of these people. You know, it's tense this last half hour because you still don't know what's going to happen. Anything could happen, and maybe it will happen, but they're hoping it doesn't, and they are hoping, the drivers at least, for some certainty and decisiveness on this finishing of the race. And, well, Christian Michel just wants to get it at the end, so does Taylor. Milan wants to get past Taylor. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, but at times like this when the drivers just want a quiet finish to the race, they don't want to be having to defend, they don't want to be having to try and force their way past anybody. But invariably that's not generally the case, but we'll see how the race unfolds. As Christian Michel has got quite a big lead ahead of him. Adam Taylor is continuing to weave his way through the traffic. Gerd Peters in 41 has come in for the final time from the penultimate position of the P2 category. So their race could have gone better, but they continue nonetheless as the race is going through its final phases.
Yeah, the last phases of this race coming up now, and I guess it's during these last moments, of course, with 27 minutes to go, I would like to start going through our drivers and teams of the day, and, well, of the 2 days technically, but yeah, definitely this is absolute brilliance. And well, I'll start with you, Neil. Who for you in each class, LMP1, LMP2 and LMGT, has been your team of the race in all of the senses?
Well, for LMP1, I'd have to go for that Velez SimSport number 21. They have, benefited from a little bit of luck, but since they inherited the lead about hour 6 or so, they've been absolutely unrelenting in letting it go, and that is showing they're over a lap ahead of their nearest rivals, the Virus number 1, who in turn has actually just came into the pits. In terms of LMP2, that number, well, it really has to be Dennis Lind, actually, and the rest of that number 30 squad. The stint that Dennis Lind put in overnight between roughly 12 and 2 UK time was absolutely extraordinary. He hunted down the leader from being in third and about a minute back. He hunted down the leader with ruthless efficiency, passed him, and they really haven't let go since then. And in terms of GT, that's a good one. In terms of GT, I think the 81 Blackhawk cards are something they've had a couple of good results so far. Second place at Istanbul, and then a third at Interlagos, are the only podium finishes that they've had so far. But they've been very, very anonymous almost, and that's almost exactly what you want during a 24-hour endurance race. No trouble, just stay on track, keep it on the island, and generally you'll have a good finishing position, and that's exactly what the 81 squad has done.
Yeah, the 81 doing exactly what they must do, and we come to you now, Chris. If you had to pick teams of the day from each class, P1, P2, GT, who would they be from this race?
Fairly predictable from me, I'm afraid. It is 21 for the LMP1s. That car has been absolutely untouchable for so long. And again, we've mentioned it several times. They started from the back, not just the back of the P1 field, the back of the entire race. And there is not a scratch on the car. It's probably an impressive fly collection, but there's not a single dent on that thing. It has been kept brilliantly fast and clean. You can't ask for any more than that from any racing drivers or any racing team. The same again for the P2s. Dennis Lind currently piloting car number 30. That thing has also been very untouchable. Hasn't always led the P2 field, but has certainly led it for a very long time, leading to, of course, the crucial flag. As for the GTs, not quite so clean cut. You've got Kasper Stolzer that leads the way in car 60. That Corvette has been blindingly fast in this stage of the race. Car 79, the Virus Ferrari, of course, has been right there as well. You can't take away the sole Aston currently piloted by Alex Bartagam, car 81. But I am going to hand it to the Corvette. I think that just the pace of that car has just been incredible for the GTs. So I'm afraid, very predictably, I'm going to hand team of the race to the 3 respective class leaders.
Well, that's fair enough. I'll hold out on mine because I'm watching Jimmy Broadbent come into the pit now, and I have it on very good information that something very Jimmy is about to happen. Do you know why that is? He's coming into the pits, he's going up on the jacks, he's switching to the soft tyres, he's going for the 319 lap records.
Why not? Why not? They are comfortably ahead of James Johnson in 7th position. They were some way behind Wilson as well, so why not have a bit of fun in the closing stages of the race?
Yeah, why not? I've seen other people do it before, go for the lap record and, well, trying to have a crack at it. And, maybe Nuno Pinto is going to do the same. Who knows? I think there will be some people who have nothing to lose trying it just to go for the honours of fastest lap. But, yeah, the absolute weapon that is Jimmy Broadbent is going for the softs, going for the fastest lap in that Nissan, filling the car up to get enough fuel for a last dash sprint, maximum fuel usage, and he is just going to absolutely max it from here on in.
Also worth bearing in mind, Adam Taylor in car number 1 did come in the pit and remain in 2nd. He did do a splash and dash. There is Borja Milan just coming through. There's not a lot in it between the two, but there is enough for Adam Taylor to have that 2nd spot on the podium.
Yeah, I see Broadbent just comes out right in front of Taylor as well, so this is going lap record or bust for him. And I think as well, actually, he announced on his own stream he's retiring from JNS after this race, so I think he'll be taking a bit of a backseat in the team after this. So in his last race for the team, why not go for the lap record? Go out with style. Go on, Sona. Go for it. I want this to happen now. I actually genuinely I know he has his critics, but I want this to happen.
And what a great car to do it in. I mean, he mentioned earlier that obviously the balance of power things that had to happen to the Nissan. Of course, the only team to run that particular car, number 22. So, again, why not? He showed in the opening stints just how fast that thing is. And what better time to just prove. I mean, everybody has the critics, but why not go out guns blazing? If this is indeed going to be your final time around Le Mans in this kind of setting, then go out in style. Why not? So fair play to Jimmy for giving that a try. You can see right behind him is, as you say, there's Adam Taylor, 2nd place in the race right with him. Now, it's going to be interesting to see. This will kind of give you a very visual representation of how much quicker car 22 currently is with the fresh rubber on. We know how fast Adam Taylor has been all race long. So Jimmy's last racing lap on the previous set of tyres was a 3. Ignoring the last one is assuming that he hit the timing being when coming over the line. So 3:23, 3:21 he's done previously. 3:21.062 he did on lap 395. So we'll use that one as a basis to see how he does this time.
We will, yes, we'll keep an eye on that and see how he goes. Obviously everyone else pretty much on the hard tyres, just cracking open the taps to get themselves to the end, but you know, ultimately we'll see exactly how this lap record attempt goes in the long run. Dennis Lind comes into the pits now for Nigel Velox as well in the NP2 class, and he's doing the same. He's gone to the softs. Lind wants P2 class honours. He's going for fastness there as well. Again, it's just, why can't I do it if everyone else can? He wants to go for it. He wants the fastest lap in P2 and he wants to get it. Tobias Politek's doing the same as his Capella. It's fastest lap party now.
Michelle's coming.
He's coming in. Oh, come on then. We're going to have the fastest lap shootout in the last 20 minutes of Le Mans. Go on then. He started a revolution here as Broadbent. If Christian Michel goes under the softs, I swear to God.
Yeah,
he's not. He's still on the hards. Oh, Christian, no. He should have, man.
I thought that car did actually get jacked up from that camera angle, but it might not have. That would be a bit of a shame. Oh, no. No, especially that is a shame. I did wonder, because again, Michel has had enough of a gap back to Adam Taylor to have actually given that a try, but then I suppose when you've been leading for so long, you don't want to kind of throw it away. Dennis Lind, though, is probably maybe a bit fresher than Michel. Although Michel took over that car a little while ago, so after Dennis Lint took on car 30. But we will see what Lint is able to achieve then. Where is Jimmy Broadbent? There he is. So now really pressing on, coming through the S's. Coming into the S's rather. So the last lap was of course an out lap. So nothing to read into that one. Of course 4:28. So now is going to be the time. All eyes then on the veteran car 22. As he's come through Tetra Rouge onto the back straight onto the Nardier. There we saw, I think it was that Carswald ahead? I actually missed who that was a little bit ahead. Yes, it was. So that's April Carswald a little bit ahead of car 22. So pick a bit of slipstream for as long as you can. You're chasing LMP1.
Well, we're getting live updates here. Apparently he's 5/10 up on his fastest lap thus far.
Oh,
he's gone wide. Well, I'll tell you this, he's still got the rest of the lap to go and still got the rest of the session to go as well, but this is turning into one big qualifying session now.
Yeah, why not? Why not? He's got 28 minutes to get the job done. It's not just done on this particular lap. Then round April Carlsvard he goes. So he's got no one already ahead of him for a while at least, so could well still have the opportunity then to get the job done. With 28 minutes to go, 3.5 minutes a lap there or thereabouts, less than 10 to go. And 404 laps have been completed now by Christian Michel. So yeah, we could well be looking at, I think we are definitely looking at the happy side of 410.
Yeah, definitely we are looking at that, and well, the lap is looking good so far, with the exception of that little mistake, but he's got the rest of the lap to make it up, so I want to see what the lap time is going to be first, and keep half an eye on him throughout the entire rest of this race to see if, to the last 17 minutes, we can have ourselves the running order. I'd love to see if we can get the 22 on stream, see if we can have a look at the record attempts, and apparently that's not going to happen. Okay. Oh dear, well, we can only have so much.
Well, yeah, true. Sam McDonald comes in. I think he's looking to do a fast lap as well, because I swear he's gone up on the jacks.
Yeah, McDonald he's gone for softs too. Everyone wants to qualify. But yeah, what this is the qualifying for next year's Le Mans. If you don't set the fastest, if you're going to qualify, whoever finishes with the fastest lap now qualifies on pole for next year's Le Mans. We're not actually doing qualifying next year.
That's it.
And, well, he's 3 laps down his Broadbent, but he's still trying as hard as he can. Hey, look at how far he's pushing it to the end of the Porsche. Goes right sideways. This is the reminiscence now of drifting the car to get around the corners. I remember this now. This is very early season 9 techniques, and well, round the final couple of corners, let's see what his lap time is. I'm not expecting a 3:19. In fact, it's a 3:21, but there's room for improvement.
Yeah, he's clouting those apexes so hard. We saw him slide completely oversteering through that first chicane. So yeah, but he's still got time to do something about it. Here is still 15 minutes to go here at Le Mans. The timer is counting down slowly but surely. Also, bear in mind, Sam McDonald and Dennis Lint put their soft tyres on in their respective classes. Okay, they are 12 laps apart, but both of them having the same kind of idea. They want to put the quality times in. And Polesek has come in.
Yeah, Politek in. If this is for soft tyres, even more soft tyres, at least, I swear to God, I am going to laugh. Because, you know, it's everyone just wants the softs at this point of the race. They're just reacting to each other at this point, and
nope.
Just fuel. But he's still on the softs, so...
No, so he did that earlier then. Yeah, Polesek is then going to take his last stop of the day. Mr. Michel, of course, continues to keep the lead all to himself. He didn't want to risk doing anything daft on the soft tyres, and again, you can't blame him. He's led for so long. There is Jimmy Broadbent further down the road, actually, as Michel comes through the second chicane. Jimmy Broadbent is actually coming up to the exact same bit of track. He has got the Ferrari of Brambine right in his nose. Oh, that could completely upset the lap record attempt. But wow, look at the grip he had this time. No understeering going on at all, but he had to take a very alternate line to get past the blue Ferrari. But yeah, he's decided, throwing caution to the wind, and let's see what he can achieve.
Car about 13 minutes left in the race, so for LMP2 cars, LMP1 cars even, that's about, what, 5 laps roughly they've got to the end. Warren Milan is currently 13 seconds behind Adam Taylor. Yes, I'm going to have to gain about 2.5 seconds a lap if he wants to try and at least battle for that second position towards the end of the race. It's very, very unlikely it will happen. However, there is a slight possibility, just having a look at the track map. He's got some GT and LMP2 traffic ahead of him, has the number 1 Team Virus car, so there is still a possibility that there could be a change for position for the second place overall in the dying minutes of the race.
Could be, but Milan's going to have to rely on some bad luck for Taylor.
He got caught up in traffic.
So another lap gone. Of course, he's taking the best out of those tyres is Jimmy Broadbent. But either way, I'm sure he's enjoying himself nonetheless in that 22. In the final time, he's going to be on this particular stage. It will be a bit of a shame, but it happens to the best of them at some point. Through the last few curves then for Jimmy Broadbent, coming up to Chevalier in the Corvette. Not delayed there at all. We'll see what his lap time is. Of course, when he crosses the line, 3:21.4 last time around. Bouncing over the curves yet again. And this time it is 3:24, so that really shows how much time he lost that time. So hopefully he'll be able to get the lap done fast and clean. Eric Vestrom has come in as well, car 46.
Vestrom in and amongst all this, yes, in the 46, probably a fuel stop as well, just a little splash before we keep going. 12 minutes in the race though, and regardless of what people are doing, we can't deny the fact it has been a dominant performance from Velasim Sport. They've done really, really good here.
Yep, absolutely. They've been untouchable for well over half the race. And April Karlsvard comes in car 32. Vestrom has got underway. He's going to come out ahead of Matthias Bogus. Oh, such a shame that he was dropped out of the podium contention for P2 due to that disconnection problem. But the checkered flag is drawing ever closer. May not.
Karlsvard just going for trying to go for it, and once more she's in the pits, I think, to take the mediums to get to the end of the race, get the softs. Oh, well, not the softs, but she's putting the fuel in and taking her stride. She's taking it nice and easy. She's not really bothered at this point. You know, she wants to get to the end. There's 10 to go, but, you know, I think she knows at this point any position gain is not going to happen. And, you know, lots of cars still running in this race. Everyone wants to get to the end of this final race of the season, and she is absolutely flooring it through here as well, Karlsvard. You know, as is everybody, they all want to get to the end, but Christian Michel has really been the man in the general scheme of things. He's really helped this Velasim Sport team go for what he wants, and Michel throwing his way into the final 10 minutes with this historic event, 406 complete, and how many will he go for?
Well, at that pace, he's got at least about 3.5, so could still get into 410. It's still there. Absolutely spot on with your prediction, from which, to be fair, you made that prediction quite a long time ago initially, so you were absolutely spot on there, Joshua. Well done there. And so Christian Michel is looking set to follow that one through. Oh, and someone gone a little bit wide there, and Arnage in the background. Looking at Christian Michel, Adam Taylor has maintained that second position over Borja Milan. He's come past Bautagam in the 81 Aston. Borja Milan has, I think he's backed off the pace somewhat in car 17. He's losing time on Adam Taylor, but of course Nuno Pinto is a very long way back. Although on the same lap, time-wise they are nowhere near one another. Car 25 just coming through the first chicane on the Hernadier, whereas Borja Milan is coming through the coming into the Porto curve rather. So no particular danger. Borja can just ease off a bit and make sure he brings the car home. 9 minutes and 407 laps done.
Yeah, 407 complete, 480 is on now with 9 to go. I'm imagining at this point he will probably have completed 409, maybe 410 by the end of this race, given there are 9 and a bit minutes, 8 and a bit minutes to go now. So we're talking 410, the end of it, and brilliant stuff indeed to see.
Jimmy Broadbent came in, he burnt the best of those tyres and didn't
I
get...
thought so.
Yeah,
Stop talking about gold.
didn't get 319 out of it, but...
Oh, sorry, you go.
No, after you, go on.
Well, Bernard Milan in that number 17 Monaco car in third place has lost the best part of 5 seconds to Adam Taylor. Most of that, I've just been watching him over the past couple of laps. Most of it is just due to catching traffic in the wrong place, mainly through the Ford chicanes. He's lost that time, and just losing it in the Mulsanne chicanes as well. There really isn't much that he could have done just catching these LMP2 cars and GT cars just in the wrong place for him to mount that charge towards the end of the race. So it looks like at the moment Team Virus is going to hold on to that second position and indeed take the championship for the second year in the row. Nicky Jakovic, Adam Taylor and Hani Al-Sabti in that number 1 car. In terms of LMP2, it will be Monaco taking that championship again. They are in second place. Tobias Polotzek currently at the wheel of that, but also Dennis Jordan and Argenis Riera driving that one. And in terms of GTs, it's going to be the same car that's been at the front all year long. That number 60 Nitro Velix. Kasper Stolze currently at the wheel of that. Martin Dylan and Alan Terzic have done a great job in that car as well. Those will be your 3 championship winners here in VEC Division 1.
By the looks of it, yes, if nothing catastrophically goes wrong. And, well, speaking of racing, I'd like to welcome Ben Schmidt back to the booth for our final update from Division 2. Ben, thank you very much for joining us before the end. How's things going?
Thank you, Josh. Yeah, well, I have some bad news for all the fans of the Atlantic LMP2 car. Course Aliferri lost the car in the Porsche course and crashed really heavily. So they will end the race in the pits, but the gap to the car behind should be big enough to stay on 10th place overall. Then I will give you just the top 3 of each class, starting with the LMP1 class, where we have the Team Virus car in the lead, followed by Rachel Racing, and then we have the flag to flag car, the 105, that's this flag to flag red, on the 3rd position. In the LMP2 class, the Swedish sim racers are leading in front of really impressing by myself Sean Campbell at the moment. Behind the wheel of this car, it's the Champion Racing car on 2nd place, and then we have the Speedy Might LMP2 car on 3rd place. And heading down to the GTs in the lead, it's Nitro Velix car driven by Enzo Fazzi at the moment. They are followed by the Rachel Racing GT car, and on 3rd place we have the Witchwood team in the Corvette, which also means the championships should be now final in Division 2. So Team Virus would take the championship of the season in Division 2 in the LMP1 class. Also Race Clutch, after their DNF a few hours ago where they thought the championship has gone, would take the championship there, as RGPL is DNF'd and won't grab enough points to settle them down. Also Sim HQ is not in the range to get enough points to grab the championship from Race Clutch. And in the GTs, it's Rachel Racing that will catch the championship there, as no one else can took them in the championship board.
Yeah, well, indeed, that is your Division 2 update. And Ben, thank you very much for joining us. An absolute pleasure indeed. Great to see that things are going so well. And thank you very much for joining us. And thank you for race directing as well, because it really means a lot.
Thank you, Joshua. And at this point also, thank you to Jimmy Allison, who trusted again in me. It was really great to do the whole season with him, alongside also Stephen Bailey for those helps and the great graphics we had this season, and all the other guys are working in the back. It was a pleasure to have all of you here in season 10 for the WEC, and I'm really looking forward to do season 11 again with all of you guys.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it too. Thank you very much, Ben. And yeah, that is our Division 2 race director, Ben Schmidt, on the microphone once more. And, well, a pleasure to have him as always as we round out this broadcast with the final moments of this race. There are 4 minutes to go until the end of the race, and truly at this point it is time that we start thanking people, especially Luca Dingard, who brings 17 more Danish krona to the stream. Thank you, Luca, for saying thank you for the good stream, and thank you for the donation too. It is great to see that, and great to see people here. And more thanks are due, I think, to Jimmy Allison, of course, our race director, Neil Heatley, Jimmy Allison, Chris Buxton. I thank Jimmy twice, I know. So yes, Neil and Chris, thank you. Yep, more thanks. And yeah, Chris, Neil, of course, thank you for joining me for this broadcast. Thanks to all our commentators, Ocean Bahaka, Justin Sutton, Rhys Gardner, Josh Penny, and anyone else I may have missed as well, for the fantastic commentary work we've been doing here. And thank you all for watching. And, well, this is not the end of the race, but in 3 minutes it will be.
Yeah, and if you want further proof of how consistency is far more important than outright pace, 2 of our class winners, LMP 1 and 2, will not be team champions out at the end of this season. So the consistency isn't just what we do here in Le Mans. It is all season long then. Unbelievably, Vincenzo Capello has actually come back in the pits for what must be the final time, and away he goes then. So here is Christian Michel coming through the 4 chicanes. What will be starting the final lap then, with 2 minutes to go on the clock. And he has indeed started lap 410. So Josh, your predictions were spot on.
Yes, indeed. Final lap, he will complete 410. The prediction was right. The maths were right. For once in my life, I got the maths right. And Christian Michel, why don't we take a lap with him? Take the final lap, possibly even on board with Michel as we come round into the start of the Mulsanne corner. Coming through Teterouge now. Quick note, thank you to Alan Terzic for the €5. And he says thank you 30 and 65 to thank Enzo's mum for her emotional and physical support. Either which way, we get €5 from him. Thank you though, Alan. Great to have the donation, it's much appreciated. Christian Michel though is going to fly this lap to the end now. He comes down the Mulsanne straight into the first chicane. He knows now, if he didn't know before, that Velis Simsport are going to win this one. Round the final time, the first Mulsanne chicane, he will chase this 410th lap to completion as we enter the final minute of Le Mans. We are down into single figures in terms of the seconds, and Christian Michel knows it's not long now until he gets himself into the final scenario. He comes into the second Mulsanne chicane for the final time, and he drives himself round the track. Eric Schmeider will be passed, Kasper Stolzer will be passed as well, and he is going to do it, and he finds himself flying even more. I've just heard Rodman's done the 319.2. Congratulations to him on that. I must say, that is an achievement in his own right. He has done the 319, but Christian Michel is the one we're watching as he finds himself coming round Mulsanne corner into the run down to Indianapolis. Time has expired. We've completed 24 laps. He's done it in the 24. And we have completed the time. Now all that remains is to get ourselves round the final lap of this race. And Christian Michel comes through now into Indianapolis, right then left of the banked corner. And he turns through now, hits the throttle, coming through into Arnage. And there will be plenty of fireworks for all the finishers of this race, I'm sure. Every single person who is going to do it, get to the end of the race and find themselves a champion in their own minds of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Tobias Politek has actually slowed down, and I think they're waiting for the 1 angle so they can do a formation finish actually. Them, but we're not focusing on them, we're focusing on Christian Michel, who comes around the Porsche curves. It is absolutely incredible what that team have pulled off. Cino Vaya is going to possibly come round as well. Maybe waiting for formation finish 2 for Vela Supersport. But what's really important now is Christian Michel for the final time round the 4 chicanes to complete the 410th lap of this race, and for the second year in a row to claim victory at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. It is number 21 victorious at the Le Mans 24 Hours, and Christian Michel takes it for Vela Simsport. Adam Taylor finishes a solid second, and with it claims the Division 1 LMP1 World Championship for the second year in a row. Retained number 1 for Virus, and a well done result indeed. Tobias Politek rounds the corner for Wanako to take the win at Le Mans, and a very well deserved win as well for Wanako, our P2 champions, and Kasper Stolzer for Knight of Alex in the 60, the champions there too.
What an amazing race it has been from lights to flag. Still a number of races, of course, still to cross the line. Nuno Pinto and James Wilson. Indeed, here comes James in, car number 3, crossing the line. He's happy about it. The race is done. The flag is out. You are home. Fastest lap holder, Jimmy Broadbent, did indeed manage that 19.2 in the 22 Nissan. Johnson still got some way to go before he gets home. Pinto and...
I tell you what though, sorry to interrupt, but we have someone else who's going to finish as well, and it's someone who's finishing with no front bumper in absolute class and style. Is in fact none other than Dennis Lint. He's got no front bumper, but he doesn't care. He's coming across the line anyway. There's damage on that car. I don't even know how it happened, but he's going to win the LMP2 class. Knight of Alex, they had struggles, they had difficulties, and they start this race and they finish this race now how they had their moment before without a front bumper. We thought it would put them out, but it hasn't. Knight of Alex winning LMP2.
Very nicely done. There again is this pure show of perseverance. Here comes Pinto then to come across the line in 4th overall in the car 28. Very few cars still to come across the line. There is Mateus Bogus. What a shame. What might have been for him. April Karlsbad just coming into the final turns then, along with Arnie Schoenblit in the Corvette. 99 Corvette bouncing over the last curves. Here comes April Karlsbad, and the last car to cross the line is the Virus Ferrari of Bram Bielen into the final chicanes for the final time. And there it is. Car 79 is the last one to take the flag. We are done here at Le Mans.
And that is a shame, actually. It was been a great race, and it is a shame that it's over. But yes, Le Mans has completed itself for one more time. 22 finished, 34 took the start. Dan Carl wants to do it all over again. Oh, bless him, he wants to do it all over again. Well, I think the other drivers will say something about that, but either which way, brilliant stuff and a great race in the end. And we join now Yuri Kasdorp, the driver of the winning Le Mans car. Yuri, congratulations once again. You've done it 2 years in a row.
Yeah, thanks up. Wasn't expecting this yesterday, especially after where we had to start, but happened at the end. Really happy with it.
It is a poetic moment as well. From last to first, it's the one everyone dreams of, but you've done it. And with history to boot, 410 laps, the most anyone in the known universe has ever done in a 24-hour race at Le Mans.
Yeah, but I think what helped a lot is that there weren't too many GT cars at the end. Don't know exactly what happened to most of them. I think only like 6 running at the end. And it was a pretty clean race the whole way through. I think we only had 2 code 80s in the whole race, so pretty much full speed running for 24 hours.
Yeah, pretty much full throttle for the full 24. I mean, it is a 24-hour sprint. We do say that these days, and never been truer spoken than that. But yes, looking forward to season 11 now. Maybe, just maybe in season 11, you can win the championship and make yourself 3-time Le Mans winners.
Yeah, that's the aim. Yeah, for this season I really gotta say hats off to the Virus guys. They've been really good every single race, and they deserve to win this.
Yeah, champions in P1, but you, yes, we keep saying They won the war, but you won where it counts, at Le Mans, and nobody can take that away from you. Well done, Yuri Kasdorp, Christian Michel, and indeed Ricardo Costa. Let's not forget Ricardo either. And well done to Vanna Simsport, the winners of Le Mans.
Thank you.
And that rounds that out. We are done here at Le Mans. The final interviewee and the final lap have been turned. And the final race has completed itself. That's it for season 10 of the Virtual Endurance Championship. Go away now for 4 months until October, until we get ready to do it all again in our anniversary season. But Chris Buxton, Neil Hitley, any last words from either of you before we do finish this off?
What an amazing race. A great opportunity for which I'm very thankful to VEC for giving me the opportunity to commentate on. And, wow, yeah, what an incredible race that our competitors put on for us. And if this is anything to go by, the future is bright for VEC.
It is. Neil Hitley, I wonder if you have any words as well?
Well, that is it. Season 10 is done. The groundbreaking season with many firsts. The first one with 2 12-hour races and a 24-hour race. I do believe the first one with a distance race instead of a timed race. And we're going to do it all again in 4 months' time. And you do not want to miss a single second of that as we start on the 6th of October for the Indianapolis 1000. So, for myself and Neil Hitley, it's so long, farewell, and we'll see each other on the other side.
Quite so, quite so. And I am going to leave you not with one of my classical Josh Anderson goodbyes, but with a quote from Søren Kierkegaard himself. Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. And we look forward to our anniversary season of the Virtual Endurance Championship. But until then, I've been Joshua Anderson, and from me and every single one of us at simracing.club, we wish you a very happy return until season 11 comes round once more in October.